host.
You're the host.
PJ is the host. He should be the one doing the intro.
I think Dylan's the host. And welcome to Podcast 8. We don't know who the main person is in this podcast is. Podcast 8. Podcast 8.
You killed it.
Dang. Well, today is another glorious Saturday. It feels good today. Hi, everybody out there. All 3 or 4
Hello
of you.
out there in the wonderland of listening.
Welcome back. Welcome
Welcome back.
So, we got some interesting topics today.
Like Margaritaville.
Ooh, you want to talk about
Cheeseburgers
Margaritaville?
in paradise.
Well, yesterday we ordered some Chili's. We actually got to do the to-go drinks, which is not a Texas thing.
Chili's.
You're not really supposed to be able to do that, but the way they bypassed it.
Fuck that. This is the new rules. We're finally getting into the future, Waylon. Alcohol should be
I'm cool
delivery.
just hanging out and not working. That's
Hey,
fine.
how cool was it that we got liquor after 10 o'clock? After 9 o'clock, technically. Because you can't really get it.
Because it was a bar, though.
Yeah, it was, but I'm just saying you
technically
can't go to a liquor store and get liquor after 9.
All liquor laws are unconstitutional, so whatever.
True.
And that's from the liberal corner.
And the libertarian over here.
My bad.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Libertarian.
wrong name. Definitely not.
He's a right.
Would you like to wear your honorary
No.
Right-leaning libertarian?
No.
They're
Lefty-leaning, righty,
So
middle
wings
ground.
are just the same bird, the same vulture, circling around your corpse. I am
Okay.
neither one of those.
He is the bird
That's fair.
around your corpse.
I am independent.
With a boot on his head.
Yep.
Is his name Vermin or something?
Yeah.
Vermin 2020.
Yeah, he has a shoe on his head.
There's this director friend that I
And
do.
that's the best we got.
There's this guy I do short films for out at like Iowa or something, or Illinois or something like that. Anyways, he's always posting that stuff about that guy. And he's like, we got a chance now. Bernie's gone. It's Vermin 2020. I don't get it, but
Hashtag Ron Paul 2012. Never gave up.
Wasn't that like 2001?
No, that was 2012 was like I think the last. Nah.
do you know who I wanted to vote for?
Bill Nye.
John McCain, because he sounded like John McClane. And I was like, I would vote for that guy.
Especially as a Christmas movie.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nakatomi Plaza. Never
Wow,
forget.
boys. Who did turn off the ringer?
That was you.
No way.
Yes.
That'd be pretty awkward.
Well, it's hopefully. Oh, there's not going to be any sound anyways. It's okay. Anyways, so here's what I want to talk about.
Patch it together.
Not that audio.
No.
Just the video. So the first thing I want to talk about today is Mortal Kombat. We talked about that a little bit the other day. And I was told that I wasn't allowed to like the movies because I didn't play the games. Can you believe that?
I don't remember either one of us saying that.
Waylon said that
Oh, for
when
real?
you weren't around.
I don't think... No, I said we were joking saying if you love Mortal Kombat and stuff, but you don't play... Or you don't like UFC.
Oh yeah, you don't even play the video games.
I don't.
And you don't
they're boring.
What?
Okay, they're a novelty. They're fun for like 15 minutes, and then you get bored and do something else.
That's probably because you suck at them.
No, I'm too good at them.
Yeah,
I've never
don't
been
buy that.
beat in my entire life.
Bet challenge accepted.
My brother has
one time I
always
tried.
hated me for that.
The one time I tried online to play Mortal Kombat, I didn't even touch the guy. I was like, yeah, I'm done. I logged off right after that. I was like, I'm not playing Mortal Kombat.
So I had the record at Nickelmania, Carrollton, Texas,
No, it was ridiculous.
1997.
Like I got online and this guy I didn't even get a punch in.
Undefeated.
He did one of those.
Undisputed.
He did one of those master
reigning,
combos.
Defending.
You got beat in Street Fighter, bro.
Yeah, not the proper Street
I literally
Fighter.
butt mashed you. To
Yeah, he
death
cheated.
Twice.
He cheated.
I'm just saying.
It was unfair. It was an unsanctioned match.
I asked
no
you
witnesses.
if you wanted to play Street Fighter.
And I said not really,
Want to play
because I was hammered and it wasn't the proper Street Fighter.
That was our first drink.
No, these are lies.
Okay, so it is about Mortal Kombat. I really think it's cool because like you don't have to play the games to get the lore in all the movies.
All the movies. Like, let me look at that giant.
There's so
list
many
of
Mortal Kombat
2?
things. No, okay. When
Three?
I say
How many
movies,
Live
loosely.
action, there's only 2, and I only count one of them because the
Lies,
sequel is so
lies,
I don't even
bad.
remember what the
lies,
sequel
lies.
was.
Okay, look, maybe they're
Okay,
not.
so the sequel is the one that has the greatest bad line of all time.
Yes,
so,
it does.
Her mom's brought back to life, and she's evil now. And she's like, "Mother, you're alive?" And she goes, "Too bad you will die." And it's like so shit. Like the whole movie, and then it's got that late
That's why I
90s
love
like
it.
special CGI special effects, and
Yeah.
it's just so bad. And so they turn into like dragons at the end, and they kung fu fight as CGI dragons.
Animality.
It was so bad.
What is it that you like so much about
They
it?
kill off Johnny Cage in the beginning too.
Yeah,
Like, right in the
the
beginning.
only character, the only actor in the whole film that had any charisma, they killed him off within like 5 minutes of the film.
Dude, Jax had some charisma.
No.
Yes.
No, he was basically like.
Was it even any of the same cast?
it was all
Johnny
the
Cage,
cast.
and he died. No, not all the cast. Johnny Cage and the guy that played Kung Lao Liu Kang are the only two that returned.
Lies.
Facts.
Lies.
Look it up. Bet.
Even Raiden was the same guy for a
No,
little
it
bit.
wasn't.
For a little bit. Then
No,
he,
it wasn't.
Then he goes into
No,
thing.
it wasn't.
And then he
He Doctor
transforms.
Who'd? Did he Doctor Who you?
He transforms into another person.
No, he
So he
didn't.
Doctor Who'd you?
No, he didn't.
And
No.
also-
so the first Mortal Kombat was Christopher Lambert from the movie where they're immortal Scottishmen. Help me out here. He's
Isn't he
like,
the Kung
there
Fu
can
guy?
only be
So
one.
offended right
Isn't
now.
that the Kung Fu
Yeah,
guy?
you're offended by your lack of knowledge of Mortal Kombat
Dude,
movies.
it's-
Sit
Jax
down,
is the
PJ.
Sonya is the same
And so-
girl.
no, she's
Jax is
not.
the
No,
same
she's
guy.
not. No, she's not. The only like maybe Katana was returned. I don't remember.
Yeah,
though.
Katana was the same girl too.
Okay, but Sonya Blade is definitely not the same.
And
girl.
if you look at the version,
Look it up.
And freaking Kung Lao's the same guy too.
No, he's not, because Kung Lao's not in the film. Liu Kang is
And
the same guy, and I said he was.
Did I say Kung Lao? I mean Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn's the same guy.
No, Shao Kahn's not even in the
he
first
comes
movie.
at the very end of it.
But he's wearing a mask. How do you know it's the same guy?
Oh, bro, come on.
Bro, sit down. Let's go.
You're
Let's look it
crazy.
up. Let's look up who plays Sonya Blade. I'm looking it up right now.
It's the same girl.
No, it's not.
And the same person plays Scorpion too.
No.
And
what?
You get
at this
other
point, are we just
Sub-Zero.
trolling, PJ?
No, I'm being serious.
Okay.
So the giant lore of two movies in
This
the video game.
Is Sonya Blade from
Yes.
Mortal Kombat,
yes,
right?
Yes. I'll put a picture up. I'll be a little more professional this time.
This is Sonya Blade from Mortal Kombat
Same girl,
Annihilation.
bro.
Look
I
at
didn't
that
see the
girl.
first
Look
picture.
at that girl. I'm gonna show you.
It's the same girl.
And then look at that girl.
Those are completely different. PJ.
Completely different people.
Wow.
Sit down.
In fact,
Okay, whatever.
insulting. That's like saying Never Back Down 1 is the same people as Never Back Down 2.
I don't even know what movies those are.
Just like I don't remember any of the Mortal Kombat.
Okay, so look, you got these two Mortal Kombats, and you had this little series that happened. That it was okay for a little bit, and they brought back the original.
Oh, is that-
the OG Shang?
Was that one of those
Shang
like
Tsung?
morning ones, like growing up as a kid?
Well, they did have a Saturday night or
Yeah,
Saturday
that's what
morning
I'm talking
cartoon
about,
one,
though.
I knew that one.
but they had
think.
like a live action one that came out in like
That was a live
2011.
action one, I think. Like, wasn't it?
No. Okay, so there's this. I don't know if it's earlier
Not
than
that I'm aware of.
So there's the movies, right? And then there's one live action version that came out at some
Yeah,
point.
it has Michael Jai White as Jax.
It was old though, right?
No,
No,
not the one
there's
I'm talking
there's a
about.
whole nother one,
Really?
live action one that it's absolutely horrendous, and it's so bad. Like if you think these Mortal Kombats are bad, this was way
No, I
worse.
think they're amazing. I think they're like Power Rangers but rated R. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean I personally love them, but I'm just saying a lot of people would say they're bad.
Your soul is mine.
Right? I used to say that all the time. Anyways, there's this really bad version I've seen before. I don't know where it came out or what year it came out, but that exists too. And then you have this series that was like a really gritty, like little like short episodes of like live action stuff.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, and those were cool. I enjoyed them, but it ended. They didn't. I guess they didn't get renewed or whatever because they were trying to. I remember now. The director wanted to make a movie, and the owners
Yeah, he
were
was
like,
trying
"Hey."
to build up to it with like these short videos to give you the backstories for the
Yeah.
characters. So when the movie came out, you would actually, already have
And I
it.
remember the whole thing was like the producers were like, "Hey, if you can get so much successful in these, then yeah, we'll greenlight the movie."
Mm-hmm.
And then he got it, and a lot of people watched him, and we never got the movie. Yeah. But also, like the reason why this comes up because my brothers wanting to watch this animated version. It's called Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. And they really get into the Scorpion backstory, which is really cool.
Look
And,
at that, my boy's in it. Let's see.
Which
I
one?
do remember
I
that
told
now.
you this existed.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Isn't that him?
Who?
The picture made it look like the guy from.
Is this the one I was talking about?
Wu. It looked like the Wu Assassin guy.
I doubt it was
No,
him.
there's no way the Wu Assassin guy would
Was
have been
was
in
this
the
a
around
series
the
or was it a
90s.
movie?
This is what I watched. This is a series.
Yeah. This is the one I remember too. I
Because
can't remember. It was
I
a
remember
movie or what.
watching, going, "This is pretty cool."
The guy that plays Raiden in the second Mortal Kombat movie, though, is the guy from the Warriors.
He's also the guy from Too Fast, Too Furious.
He is.
Yep,
And he's not the guy from the first Mortal
Yes,
Kombat
he is.
movie.
He's
No,
got
he's
long
not.
hair.
No, he's not. The guy from the first one is Christopher Lambert, the French
Christopher
actor.
Walken.
No, Lambert. He's the guy that played what is that movie called? There Can Only Be One.
Oh, the one.
No, that's Jet Li.
Hey, we don't curse on this channel.
Yes, we do. A lot.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I really love the Mortal Kombat like backstories and all that and the lore and stuff like that. It doesn't really matter to me if I ever do play the games because you're just a fighter, but it's really cool. Really
The
cool.
Highlander.
Ooh.
I'm really surprised that hasn't gotten a remake.
I don't put that into the universe.
By the way,
I don't want to see another terrible remake of a childhood classic.
I'm not gonna lie. One of the things I do enjoy doing is like my brother will sit there and play through all the games, and he'll tell me the backstories, or I'll just go and watch all the cutscenes of him. That's what I used to do when we were growing up. When we would come out, and I wouldn't play it, but he would play it, and he'd be like, "Hey, there's a cutscene or whatever," and I would go and see what's going on. Like, oh, that's kind of a cool story. And like there was one where he played in all the Mortal Kombat dudes. They turned into evil versions of themselves, and there was like an evil Liu Kang, and he's like fighting this other Liu Kang who wasn't evil, and it was just weird. You know about any of that stuff?
I really distinctly remember like the original 3 that were kind of like on the Genesis.
Yeah, these are like way newer.
But like the ones that kind of came after that,
Haven't they been coming out just like Madden Football, where it's like every year?
No.
So they did a reboot in like 2009, and
Something
it was
like that.
and then
There's
it was
a more recent one.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
they've
them.
had 3 since 2000. Like that's the 3 that they've made. So 9, 10, and 11.
And personally, to me, the storylines are really cool. Like, there's one like where it's like this thing has been happening over and over again, and Raiden like it's like at some point in time, Raiden turns bad and like basically murks everybody. And so there's like he sees it in the future because it's like a perpetual thing happening. They get to this point, and this person's like resets the universe,
Yeah,
and
it's
they go
basically
again.
like a ripple effect, and that's how they explain how they rebooted the series. And so basically, like he sends like a vision back to his former self.
Yep.
And he like basically alters his decision.
It's pretty intense. It's like they make he tries to get this version of Liu Kang to kill like this other version. And it's pretty crazy. And you get these alternate versions of people. I just really like that stuff. It's cool. And I don't really play the games, or Richie would tell me about it, or he would send me the stuff, and I would watch it. I mean, it's a cool thing. And you can't say that Sub-Zero wasn't the coolest guy in the world.
I thought Liu Kang was my favorite.
He was okay.
I think you just kind of stole my argument because that was the big thing we argued about yesterday. Is you were a Scorpion guy and I was
not a Scorpion guy. Scorpion's cool.
Sit down.
Scorpion's super cool, but the ability to freeze somebody.
Jumping on the hype train here, PJ.
It's always been awesome. Although I did like when he can take off his head and he had a skull.
Yeah, because he's literally a ghost with Ghost Rider powers.
His backstory is really sad, though. I'll give you that. Very sad. He's manipulated Waylon. He goes to hell, and he's all like, he gets out on purpose, and the guy's all like, yeah, Sub-Zero killed all your family. And like,
but is this as sad as the Cat in the Hat backstory?
I don't know what that is.
No, I'm just.
Well, tell me.
Just throwing
Was
it
there
out there.
a Cat in the Hat backstory? I thought
No,
he just appeared.
there wasn't. That's why it's so
Okay.
sad. He's just a lonely
Because
cat
you get
with
the
a hat.
backstory to the other one. You get to
The Grinch
the
childhood.
Grinch. You get that one, but you don't get where the cat. What happened with the cat? Like where did it come from?
Hell.
Right.
The demon.
I don't know.
Have you seen like the recut of the It trailer, but with the Cat in the Hat instead of the
Yes.
It's so funny.
It's hilarious.
Is it?
Yeah, we need to check it out later.
No, watch that.
I don't know. Just like we'll talk about Doom later because that's on the list too. But just like the Doom series, I think the Mortal Kombat movies are always doomed to like give us the same stuff. But there's so many other cool things we can learn about.
They've never been done correctly, so you have to reboot it because the original Mortal Kombat movie is so far from the story of the game, and the game is actually much better. As much as I like the Power Rangers-esque movie, it's not what we should have gotten, and in order to progress the other storylines from the game, you have to reboot it. You have to do the whole first tournament again. So that's why we keep getting it.
Dude, speaking of reboots and Mortal Kombat, we started Kobra Kai with you today. What do you think about it?
I said we were gonna watch 2 to 3 episodes and see what he thought.
Watch the entire first season.
Entire first season.
By the way,
now
if
in
you
my
haven't
top 10.
seen Kobra Kai, find a way to watch it because it is amazing.
It's actually really good.
It's one of those things.
I still won't pay for YouTube.
Yeah, it's like we talked about. Like you get if there are reboots, like you said earlier, and if it's done shitty, it's horrible.
Well, the thing is with reboots and like
or
continuations and stuff, it needs to be handled by someone who actually enjoyed the IP in the first place. Because if you give something that's nostalgic to other people to someone who doesn't give a shit about it, you get the Power Rangers
16.
Yeah, you get the Power Rangers Krispy Kreme commercial that was 2 hours, or you get the Ninja Turtles where they literally look like weird. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that bastardization of a movie, but then you get something like this, for example, Cobra Kai, where like you can tell that they actually care about the subject, and they took like a cheesy '80s film and turned it into like a really deep, like multi-layered. I mean, not necessarily deep, and as in like, oh my god, wow, what groundbreaking stories, but like they put a lot of depth into the cheesy '80s movie.
Yeah, for sure. And that
30 years
honestly,
later,
though, I do think when you talk about moral ambiguity, moral ambiguity, you know what I'm trying to say. When you talk about that, I think that it's actually really deep because they really explore
that's what I'm
those
saying. Like, it's not
sides.
necessarily deep. It's just there's a lot of nuance.
Yeah.
And the character development that happens through just an episode alone is more that you got in the '80s movies.
True.
And it really elevates it.
I just really like it because like you have all these like very neatly intertwined stories between these people that never really touch until they need to, and it's just
and it always feels real. It always feels grounded. So you never feel like, oh, okay, wow, throughout the show.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for you to watch the second season because as good as that was, I remember thinking, oh man, like, I don't know how much better this can get, and they just do a better job. It's pretty crazy.
How much was in the first season,
right? And then you get going, and you get toward the end, you're like,
that
wow,
development's like quick, especially for 25-minute episodes.
Yeah, it's such a. What I really also like about it is such a call to like how most of people like us feel about like modern people today,
modern
like
society. Yeah,
and how like it's so easy to offend people.
Great
and
classic '80s soundtrack as well.
Right. Oh man, dude, I tell you, a score can make or break something. It's so
been saying
vital.
It for years.
I've been saying it for years.
We literally had like a 2-hour argument earlier about how music
I
sucks
would
now.
say argument.
I was right. You were all wrong.
Were we arguing?
We were
about
agreeing the whole time.
You were trying to tell me that there's been good songs in the last 10 years.
I did not say so.
Only maybe 3 that we could all mention.
Yeah, okay, and for the record, we were talking about thematic scoring
for movies.
So like John Williams stuff, and I don't know. That's I am not a good person to talk about that stuff with because I'm horrible at remembering things like names.
Literally write scores for music or movies.
Yeah, but when you hear so many and you do a lot of stuff, it all starts blending together. But that's my point, though, is
if none of them are memorable, then we're failing as cinema makers.
That's fair, but the output is so much.
That's not what they're asking for.
But that's
right
my
now.
point, though, is if we're putting like. Well, that's the problem with the whole industry, though. That's why it's falling apart. Is like the creative stuff.
I mean, look at the Joker. The Joker, that's not memorable, but I
think it is.
The movie is. You blend the movie with the feeling that the song's giving you, but you can't sit here and give me the melody line of the Joker, dude.
It's
true. Not the same as John Williams.
But at least when you hear it, you instantly know what it's from.
You do with all those though, like Passengers and all of them. I'm like, oh, there it is. I know. What this
I haven't
is.
seen that one, so I can't
I know
say.
what this is.
Yeah,
but for me, like if you put on, I don't know, like
Time on there.
Yeah, but that's like one of the ones I said was.
Interstellars?
That's one of the ones that we said was a memorable one. But now it's like pretty much everything is either the Hans Zimmer, ripoff, or it's just some background generic dribble.
Or the modern synth approach.
Yeah, that's starting to come out. But at the same time, though, like how many movies really need a synth in it?
You'd be surprised how many.
Well, no, but like, are we going to start getting like World War II movies with like '80s synthesizer soundtrack? Come on.
Right.
I think
I don't know.
I use that.
I'd be down if that's the whole theme, like action-y, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but in World War II, I'd be down.
Again, I think it's just a cycle. It's a cycle, not necessarily a cycle. It's a pattern of trends, And so if somebody sets a precipice, and like you can date this back way back. Like the other day, you and I were talking about jazz scores, like in the '40s and stuff like that. That was all their age, and if you didn't have that kind of score, people were like, "What? Like, what is this? This is boring," And it's a huge thing, And then at some point, somebody decided, "Hey, I want to do something different,"
I think
and that became the new thing.
My larger point, though, is it's not just music these days, though. Like everything is losing its creativity. And I think technology has a lot to do with this because people like if you got instant like technology, you're not going to be creative. You don't have to think. Because look at the box covers for video games. Look at the posters for films. They're all the same shit. It's the same. Almost all of them look the exact same. Like there's
people
5
barely
templates.
look at those, man.
Yeah,
but they should though. They should.
Yeah, that's fair. That's graphic design. Like I'm telling you, like I couldn't tell you what the Call of Duty cover looks like right now because it's always being updated too. But
10 years.
No, they update it every time, and it's completely different. But
typically, it's some soldier standing in the middle of a background where there's bad stuff going on in the background. the same, and it's the same thing for all the other shooters. Like Battlefield has the same cover. Oh, look, generic soldier guy standing in front of a battle scene. Wow, good job, guys.
Speaking on the technology thing, this is something else that we kind of talked about a couple of days ago. Is that like even with like scoring, like I have a whole library that I'm not supposed to use because I've been told not to use it, and with rightfully so because I get why. But this is literally one of those libraries where it does everything for you. You can just hit a key, and it basically orchestrates it for you and modulates it, manipulates it, and like evolves it. And you could just like one note things, and it would do the whole score for you. It's pretty insane. But you get a little bit of this like, it's not quite. It's unoriginal for one.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's all going to eventually sound
and
the
that's,
same.
I guess my point is once you lose the soul, once you lose the passion, once you lose like the effort, all you get is generic, crap. And look at everyone always come. Oh, Hollywood! All they can do is remake movies. Well, this is why, because you see the same movie over and over again, and you don't support the creative things. Because you're like,
fair.
oh,
that all
who
started
cares?
with Broadway, man. Nobody wanted to go and pay for original work on Broadway, and so it all started there, and then it bled over into that. That's why we started getting Shrek the musical, Spider-Man the musical.
Well, not only that, but it in truth, it really started in like the late '80s when they saw the success of the summer blockbusters, and instead of film being made by filmmakers, because there's nothing wrong with summer blockbusters. Some of the greatest movies of all time are summer blockbusters. But Suits took over Hollywood, and Suits only care about the bottom line. They don't care about the actual project. That's why we get all these reboots of these classic things that are done without a soul. Hence the Lion King live action. That's literally not live action. So what was the point?
My goodness.
Well, that's why. I mean, I like the movies. I mean, the actors who are going out there and doing all. There's a lot more independent actors now that go and do non-blockbuster, non-Hollywood oriented movies. Like Edward Norton with that one, I've still been wanting to see. But there's all those movies that are getting done. Our other boy Shia LaBeouf. They're doing movies like Peanut Butter Falcon and things. That
I'm pretty optimistic about the next 10 years of film.
But
because
the thing is, it's a lot more than one or
come.
two. It used to be just like Brad Pitt and like one other, and now it's like almost all of them go look for these independent films.
Yeah, because they're tired of playing the same roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all that gets bankrolled. It's like one of those things. Like it's this whole like. I don't want to use the word epidemic because it's like what's going on. But it's this whole thing where like, and also, it's like one of those things where like I see it more like when people that not that like I 100% disagree with this because I get sometimes you just don't have money, but those people that use like royalty free music, that's real basic and bland. Like I just find it so hard. Like I don't know, man, that'd be weird for me to like come up with this artistic thing, this whole project. And you put like this like generic coat of paint. I don't
think you're a real director or producer if you don't understand the influence of music on your score.
And that's kind of the larger point that I was trying to make about the music is like with music is such an important part of cinema. It's the least appreciated. Like if you watch the movie Psycho, and I was talking about this earlier, and you watch it without the sound effect or just noise in general, without the sound effect of that, like that movie is half of what it is without that movie. Same thing with the original Halloween. What makes Michael Myers so scary is that weird piano theme that builds. Him just walking around with a William Shatner mask killing teenagers is scary on its own right.
It is.
It's a William Shatner. The movie was made on zero budget. And that's honestly how horror films should be made because it forces them to get creative.
What movie was the first one that did no soundtrack? What was it? And it set a fad because there was another like 10 movies that followed no soundtrack.
True, and that stuff can be done very well too. There's some really good examples.
Well, that's why horror films piss me off. I'm a big horror fan, and when it's done right, I think there's some of the best films that can be made. But the problem is they're so easy to make for cheap that we get the generic suit. Think of one that came out recently. Like The Boy or whatever. The Unborn is one of my favorite bad horror movies. It's literally.
I liked The Boy. I want to see the second one.
The Boy. I switched The Boy and the Unborn because they have a similar name. But The Unborn is about like a demon baby that she's impregnated with somehow with science, and none of it makes any sense. And it does the generic like horror stuff where like it's a pretty girl who's being haunted and. She does some generic research on this obscure horror monster that she just happens to find in the local library, and everything is laid out for her. And then she goes and sees like the mystic priest or whatever the hell he is, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't help you, but I'll show up 2/3 in the movie and die." And then like you get the crap generic jump scares where like you get the fake one where it's the damn cat, and then you get like a weird kid, and it's just like, oh fuck.
Well, you know what's
You're playing cliche bingo at this point.
I mean, you know what's insane is even though I mean, me and you walked out of it going, man, that was like a B movie, but like it's one of the only ones, if I can remember, in this like last 7 years of horror flick, is that one movie where they go to that theme park.
Yeah, but that's because that was a
Dude, it pops into my head. It was a great idea.
Yeah, that's the problem though. Is like all these great ideas get wasted by like directors who don't have a direction because they're playing it safe. They're just like, okay, we'll play the cliche bingos. We won't really go anywhere. Because and admittedly, I understand why. Because if you go like a super creative route and you take a real big risk, you can end up with a film like the Glass that came out. M. Night Shyamalan's, disaster.
You made me sleeping all the way through it.
Yeah, exactly. It was shit. And he took a big bold risk, but unfortunately, it didn't pay off at all. And the ending twist.
That was probably one of the worst endings I've ever seen.
It's
I'm
one of the most
this to, like,
disappointed
Dragon
movies
Ball
I've ever
Z,
seen.
the movie. That's probably the one
We
of the
don't
worst.
speak of said film.
That's probably worse than that.
When
in my
Dragon
opinion.
Ball Z, and it wasn't even. It was Dragon Ball.
Glass was worse than that.
But when
in
they
my
open
opinion.
when they open with a Lord of the Rings style like poem, like 7 balls to rule them all, like what the fuck?
You mentioned Lord of the Rings.
Yep. And it was awesome. Oh, Dragon Ball Evolution,
Dude,
masterpiece.
I'm telling you, man. Like, and this may be cocky of me, but I really feel like at this point in my life, with the people I've met in my life and the amount of talent I could reach out to, if someone, like, this is like fantasy talking here, if someone was like, here's $100 million to make a movie,
Jesus
I could
Christ.
make $500 million easy.
What's funny is
I
that's a
don't think
really
that's-
easy budget.
yeah, I
Like,
was gonna
that's
say
a
that's-
really norm budget.
It is.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like $100 million is
Well,
not,
you
nothing crazy.
give me a generic IP like Street Sharks, and I can give you a multi-billion-dollar franchise with that.
True.
Easy.
Again, like like,
Street Sharks.
I would be cutting costs too, because I mean, me and Shane have had this conversation a bunch of times. Like, if we ever got the opportunity to work on something big, we would literally take zero money off of that first thing and just put all the money into making sure that score is phenomenal and that the movie's successful. Because if we do well on that and it's like a big movie,
Oh, that'll open all the doors.
yeah, it opens doors, right? And so like I literally would take into account I'm making zero money on this big film and I'm just gonna put my name out there. It's all about marketing. So I'm just saying, like, I think I know. Well, even if like you and other people I know that can
Then
do
let's
score
do
stuff,
it.
people I know that we could pay them, to do everything else. I think if we had that kind of, I wouldn't even say that's a generous budget. That's like a normal, modest
No, that's
budget,
that's
right?
about a normal budget.
So if someone
Which is
someone's like,
mind-blowing.
hey, PJ, here's $100 million, I would make him a $400 million profit minimum.
The 100,000. That's like legitimately the price of one 21 Pilots music video, like in the early
Right.
days.
Are
So-
you serious?
Yep.
That's disturbing.
Investors, if you want to make money, give me $100 million, and I will make 500
I would
minimum.
totally do the acting and stuff for free.
Yeah,
Give
dude,
me-
and that's
give
what
me-
I would do.
You just have to pay for my medical expenses. 'cause
Give
obviously I
me
wanna do
20
stunts.
grand and a moderately competent crew,
Yeah, right.
and I'll give you I'll give you a blockbuster level
right.
income.
And that's the thing
I'd
too.
go
like,
for stunts.
so like,
You just gotta pay for
No,
medical
I'm
bills.
doing a horror movie. All I need is 10K and a competent crew,
Right.
and we can give you a better horror movie than 90% of what's come out in the last 10 years.
So realistically, like when you're talking about
Bet.
this stuff,
Can't
like,
beat the Lighthouse.
okay, so
Oh, can we talk about that again?
No, let's stay on topic
in a
here.
second.
You liked me, Lobster.
I'm just saying, like, depending on the film you do, right? Like what I was in my head, I had envisioned doing, like the majority of my budget would go to special effects, right? Unless you do something
No.
like, hang on, unless you do something like you're talking about, or something that's like Peanut Butter Falcon-esque, where it's mostly practical effects. Which honestly, practical effects are the way to go because those are the timeless movies. you know?
No, well, it depends on the genre we're going with.
Yeah,
What genre
exactly.
are we talking about here?
I don't know. I'm saying up in the air, like
because a lot of okay, so for example, horror movies, most of your effort should be on atmosphere and feeling, not the monster. The monster should hardly ever be seen, typically. unless you have someone that's just amazing at special effects. Which,
Yeah.
Like so, John Carpenter's a thing is like the only example I can think of. Take a shot.
I'm gonna add that to the list.
Yeah, seriously. But it's so good. That's what we're watching tonight.
They did a really good job with.
Yes, it is. PJ
Sinister 1. They did a really good job of not showing the demon.
Yeah, exactly. And it was great until
Sinister
the end.
2, they overblew him.
Yeah.
But Sinister 1, I even like the ending. I think they did a really good job with that one with not showing him and the score. Let's talk about scores. In that one, that score freaked me out more than the movie.
I'd say the score for Insidious was better than most films.
I forget. Is that the Insidious guy? Is he the same guy that directed the Aquaman movie?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why the score's the same.
Yeah, it's well, not necessarily, but the one creepy part of the movie
It's the same guy though.
Yeah, is so Insidious. So it was so funny watching because I think I knew it at the time, but when I watched it, and he goes underwater for all those monsters. It was so like. Cool. I was like, okay, we're watching Insidious underwater now with Aquaman. It's funny. It's good though. It worked.
James Wan. He's the guy that gave us Saw, Insidious, and what's the stupid one?
I never saw
The Conjuring.
One. Oh yeah.
Wait, no, I did see it. That's when they're playing hide and seek, right?
Yeah, and she goes.
I just didn't see the second one.
I'm just not scared of people clapping, I guess.
Right.
It's because that's what they would use to hide and seek, right? And then you don't know who's clapping.
I think it was the fact that there shouldn't be someone clapping, so it's spooky.
That was primarily used in the trailer, though, not. In
No.
In the first Conjuring movie, it was used quite a bit.
So I'm gonna go back
but it's significantly better than the second one.
I'm gonna go back to one more little comment on what I said earlier about the give me a budget thing. If you personally, I think if anybody with half a brain, which is the only people I would really want to work on the project with me,
half a brain, full brains, we don't want to work with.
You know what I mean? At least half a brain. Like if you go, let's say you, I know if I went to you,
I only have half of one.
He's put you in that category, bro.
No, what I'm saying is, if I went to you, Dylan, you're smart enough to agree.
You're smart enough.
Oh my goodness! Let me get to this point. Okay.
Let me insult you properly.
I'm not insulting you. I'm just
Let me
saying,
backhand compliment you.
Here's why I'm saying this, because there's plenty of people out there that if I came to them with what I'm about to tell you, they would shut me down and tell me to go away. Because there's two kind of creatives in the world. There's the elitist creative who's like, no, you're going to pay me this much money, or else I'm doing nothing for you. Or you get the one that doesn't have the liberty or of the it doesn't have the it's the means to do that. It's like people who are just trying to make their way. That's why I'm getting off on a tangent, but we've had people before that complain that we do gigs cheaper because you're bringing down the value of the musician. No, we need money, we need gigs. I'm sorry, that's where the market's going. But if I can get a gig by undercutting $50, I'm gonna do it because I want to play. I'm sorry that you think you're worth this much.
That's the whole point, is you want to play. So
yeah. So my so back to the point, there's so many people that you could go to and say, hey, look, you're not going to make hardly anything up front on this, but here are the numbers. This is what we're going to put into marketing, into all post-production, all this pushing the stuff. And you're going to make money on the back end, or you're going to make money in just getting the stuff. And I bet you the people that would do well in this movie and work their asses off are the people that would agree to that. I wouldn't take a cut. I'm sure you.
I think for the most part, it comes down. So you can be creative about the actual art itself, right? But the key to low budget, I think, in general, is to be creative about how you approach that as well. For example, in business, I used to get really frustrated with a former boss of mine because he was so stuck in the past. There's a thing in the military where they talk about generals that fight in the previous war instead of fighting the current one. And he would, instead of investing in online advertising and guerrilla marketing, he'd be like, "No, Dylan, you don't understand. You don't have business." And he would literally spend almost $50K a year on paper, advertising. No. He literally we had an opportunity where we could have worked with a local business, a local pizzeria, and have had free advertising. All we had to do was put our name on it, and he turned it down because that pizzeria isn't one of our customers. This is the kind of stupid shit. You wonder why I started balding. This is why.
And I'm just saying, in this specific scenario that I'm making up in my head, that isn't totally real at all. There'd be plenty of people, very talented people, that would jump on board.
He's talking about you, Jeff.
I'm not going to get
DJ
a lot of.
is referencing
We're
you,
literally.
Jeff.
I'm not going to get
telling whoever's out there listening,
Jeff,
that you have an entire crew to do a movie.
You give me $100 million.
And we're just saying
I will
we
make
won't
you
take cuts. We want to be in that movie.
I will
or
make
help
you
you with that said movie.
$400 million minimum.
All I want is a credit so I can use it later on
Same.
to get
Same.
better.
that movie, like what's suppled its budget. Man, they're pretty good. That worked out
I
well.
was gonna get my Tom
Hey.
Hardy start in this.
Right?
You know, just
Can
do
we talk
things,
about how he's
Tommy.
done like the same voice for like 8
Oh
characters?
my goodness!
Well, he's one of my favorites.
He's
so
one
I
of
don't
my
wanna
favorites
bad
too.
mouth him.
Mine
I'm
too.
not bad mouthing it. I'm just saying it's very funny because he's still.
I
because
love it.
He pulls it off, is what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
Can continuously
it's
do
kind of
it.
like John Wayne. How John Wayne is the exact same character in every single film,
Right.
and it's always awesome.
Well,
he's
Tom Hardy got
amazing.
multiple roles for a minute, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, he's really good at this role. And so he got to
Right.
continually do that role because people are like,
Yeah,
dude, I want.
typecast.
They're sitting
Yeah.
there. That okay, 50s gangster movie, or what 1920s gangster movie? Boom, Tom Hardy. We're gonna do The Revenant. Boom, Tom Hardy. Let's see, Irish gangsters. Boom, Tom Hardy.
we need a guy who can mumble charismatically. Tom Hardy.
Oh, we need a guy to take over Gotham. Tom Hardy.
He's one of those guys. No matter what he says, you want to turn up the TV and listen to him.
Well, here's the problem with me. Like, I hands out, I do love him. Every time he's doing one of those accents, I have to turn on the subtitles. 'Cause
I
I
didn't
have
have to at
no
all.
clue what he's saying.
I didn't have to do all
Zero
with
clue.
it.
When
I
he
just
ca-
turn it up extremely loud so I don't have to say I had to turn on the
so
subtitles.
like Peaky Blinders, right? I watched the whole first season, right? And some of those guys get a little hard to understand because of that thick Irish accent, you know. But I get it. But the second that Tom Hardy came on the screen, he was like, I was like, subtitles. I need to hear what he's saying.
Doesn't
matter I just- who we I just-
are.
I just turned it all the way up. But, man, I wanted to hear it. Though.
Mama bread.
Well, see what makes it good. What how he's able to pull it off is body language and facial expressions. It's called acting, and a lot of actors have to rely solely on dialogue. And
He could
that's why
probably
they're
just
not that
mumble
great.
the whole. He,
Well,
like
look-
honestly, no
look-
words. He could just go.
No, look at The Revenant, the movie that won him and Leo or won Leo an Oscar.
By the way, we're gonna
they
talk
had
about that
hardly
in a
any
minute.
dialogue. It's all body language, all facial expressions, and it was amazing.
Now, as much as I did like that movie, that's the one that got him the Oscar.
No, it was.
It's
It
a
shouldn't have been.
one-time watcher. I never went back. I
That's
watched
the
it once,
one-
and
No,
I go,
it
that was
should.
cool.
It
That's
shouldn't
the
have been the
one.
one. No, but
I mean
it was.
that's such a
Inception was
disservice
so
to
much better.
Leo.
I'm biased. Inception's one of my 10 favorite films. Of
I
all
would have
time,
gave it
so.
to him for
Titanic.
The Quick and the Dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on,
I'm
guys.
sorry,
really?
dude.
No,
Dude,
no,
that,
no,
that
no.
little Leo death scene where he's like, "I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Pop."
Sorry, Pop.
Dude,
No, the movie.
Oscar.
The only two options are Inception. No, three options.
You're not even gonna
The
consider
Departed.
Titanic,
No,
dude. That is
not
a,
best actor.
Departed.
dude.
No,
As
not
big as that movie
in
was,
1998. No, he was not. No,
as big as that movie
who
was,
cares how
even
big
today,
a movie
it
is?
doesn't matter. Like if you're talking.
Okay, so
what
if
did
that's going to be
what
the
did it go
case,
up against in
if
1998?
we're gonna just judge a movie by how popular it was, then
Armageddon.
Shia
In
LaBeouf
in
should have won for
1998 was
Transformers.
When was Armageddon?
Dude,
97, I think.
Damn, I was
We can
What?
look it up.
Anyways, continue.
we're gonna look
I'm
up
probably
later.
way off. It's like 1992. You know.
We're gonna look up later what Titanic went up against.
Okay, bet.
Which
Just
at-
because
which-
a movie's popular doesn't mean it's the best
which at
picture
the
or best
time-
actor.
I mean, I think it's a great film. I really do.
It is a
Like,
good movie,
Kate
but
Win-
it's not
Kate Winslet
best.
does
It's
well.
not best
He
actor.
does well.
He's
Except
not
for those
best actor.
stars.
But where do you go? I'm just,
all
like, my
unaligned.
argument
Yeah,
is
fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson.
my argument is that year, and we can look up because I
Oh,
really
we will.
I know you don't know, and
Part,
I
the
don't
next,
know.
the next part, go because I think the Oscars are a joke, so I don't keep
Oh,
track.
hands down, the Grammys are a joke. I mean, let's get real about this. But what I'm saying is that
I happen to know a Grammy award-winning artist.
yeah, me too. What I'm saying is
It's
that
not me.
I really
Just if anybody was
Just
thinking
whenever
that one,
watched this, but we're talking
they
about
all
you
looked
guys.
at me. It's not me.
I'm just saying I
I'll
want
put it
to
this
know
way.
who we went up against.
The Departed is his best film
Hands down.
outside of Inception, and
Yeah.
I think that's his best performance. That's the one that should have nabbed him an Oscar.
If it was up to me, he'd probably have like 6 Oscars by
He'd
now.
have at least 3 for me.
You know how weird that is that he only just now got that one
I would have given one for Shutter
for
Island.
Revenant. For Revenant,
I would have
Shutter
given.
Island.
I would have given one for Shutter Island.
Inception.
That's a good one. I forgot
Like
about
he
that
was
one.
just strewing them out at us, and that's what he gets.
I would have gave him one for. Is this him? I don't know if it's him or not. Gilbert Eats Grapes. He's Gilbert, right? Johnny Depp's in it, I think. And
I don't know.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure he was in that one too, which is a pretty big film. You know, I would have gave one for that. You know,
Yeah,
but he got it for Revenant.
Revenant. a one-time watch. I was like, that was cool.
It's like
Back to the story.
literally, we're just gonna half the shots are gonna be him crawling on the ground.
Okay, so I just looked it up. Titanic came out in 97, and the winner was Jeffrey Rush
What was
Barbosa.
Armageddon? Just give me Armageddon.
Not yet. I'm looking it up now.
Oh, okay.
But Jeffrey Rush, the guy who plays Barbosa, won for some movie I've never heard of. Hence proof that the Oscars are a joke.
Yeah, they're
but
a
let's
complete
look
joke.
up the films that came out in '97.
It's Final Six. We need to know because I'm just saying that I think he should have got an Oscar for Titanic.
Well, if we're gonna do a movie,
I
and
think
again,
'98 was Armageddon. You
I
called
was
it.
right. Y'all were wrong.
We're gonna talk about Armageddon in a minute, but like just like that movie at the time, and I guess even now, but especially at the time, was such a phenomenon. Like everybody went and watched it, you know. And
It was also in like the dark ages of Hollywood, where like it was nothing but trash.
right. I mean, people still
there's
quote
a lot
that
of
movie.
movies
Okay,
Yeah,
L.A.
in
Confidential came out in '97. We're talking about '97.
No,
L.A. Confidential, great movie.
well, I thought that was a TV show.
No, L.A. Well, it was originally, but it's the one with Russell Crowe as like a L.A. detective in like the 30s and stuff. We're watching it.
Russell Crowe, bro.
Face Off came out that year. Nicolas Cage,
Golden
Oscar.
Guns.
Oh my goodness, yeah, but it would never
Men
get
in
an
Black
Oscar.
came out that year. Oscar.
007.
It would never
Goldeneye?
get an Oscar.
I think that was '95.
Okay.
Dude, you're telling me the same year Titanic came out, Face Off and Men in Black came out? That's intense.
And the amazing Batman and Robin.
Oh my goodness.
Fifth Element came
I
out in
enjoyed
'97.
that. Fifth Element was a sleeper.
Dude, that was a good one.
Here's the movie that should have won Best Picture / Best Actor. Good Will Hunting.
Oh wow.
Boondock Saints.
I'm sorry, Leo, but Damon.
Fifth
Austin
Element.
Power came out that year.
Boondock Saints, Fifth Element, and like a few others like that were sleepers.
Gattaca.
They didn't blow up
Gattaca.
until after they were already out on Night's Tale.
Tomorrow Never Dies with the Bond of '97.
That was Bond 97. But yeah, there's certain movies that are just straight up sleepers that didn't actually hit
Yeah.
until afterwards.
The Shining was unpopular until like maybe 5 or 6 years later.
I remember Fifth Element started getting huge like probably 5 years after it released.
That's fair.
And now people demand a new one.
Okay, so I remember going to Gatesville, Texas when I was little. You know, I was probably like 5. And we went to go watch, Titanic. And so we went in this, it was my family was trying to be, cheap's the wrong word, trying to be efficient. And they brought a big RV, right? So, or maybe it was a big truck. Anyways, I remember me and Robbie were sitting on top of the camper. And the scene came up
You
where...
have to do a drive-in?
Yeah, for that one. It was that in another movie. But the scene came up where Rose is getting painted. And I just remember hearing my mom down like in the truck saying, "You better close your eyes up there, PJ and Robbie." And I was just like, I could not look.
Look away.
I couldn't look away, dude. I was like,
Paint me like one of your French girls.
It's so funny.
That's actually funny because so we were watching it in like I think it was 7th grade English, and there was this like nerdy kid that was like the one that would cry if he got if he missed 1 point, like he would legit die inside. And we were watching Titanic for I don't know why, and it got to that point where it's going to show the cartoon boobs, and like he straight up runs from his seat to block the TV so he couldn't see the drawing of her boobs. And then, like, again, he, like, made sure to block the TV when it shows the hand in the steamy car. Like, bro, come on.
Okay, so I have a similar story to that. I was in a English class. I think it was, like, my senior year. And we had a sub, right? And so the movie that was given to her for us to watch was Troy. And so we're sitting
And that's
there.
why it will
we're all-
always be remembered.
We're all just watching it, right? And then, so she's sitting there watching the movie because I guess she likes the movie too. And I was just kind of like half paying attention. But she just started freaking out when Brad Pitt was naked or whatever. It was so
Butt
funny.
crack of Brad Pitt.
She was like, no. She ran over and was just trying to cover it up. It was so
This is why
funny.
no one
As
will
if
remember
no
your
one had
name.
ever seen butts before. But
Oh, man,
so
it's so
speaking of
goofy.
amazing like mishaps of teachers not paying attention to things, 6th grade we had like a day that we were basically I don't know what happened, but basically the whole like school because it was a 6th grade center in Aledo, and the whole school came into like I think it was like the gymnasium to watch one film, and that film happened to be Airplane, which is one of the raunchiest like.
Why in the
comedies.
world are y'all watching Airplane in school?
So, and I'll explain. So back in the day, there was no PG-13. There was PG and R, and so PG movies could get away with a lot more than they
I don't
can
remember
today.
that.
Well, it's because it was before our time. And so PG-13 kind of came out in like the mid '80s, I think. I don't know the facts on that, but anyways, so back in the day, PG used to mean you can pretty much get away with pretty much everything except for full on and super violent. And so they saw PG comedy on the box. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. It'll be family fun comedy. And so they put on one of the raunchiest films of its era.
I mean, go back and look at Seinfeld and Friends and things like that. Like things we didn't realize the humor that was coming through, but it was there.
Well, that's the thing is like, so there's like an implied blowjob like scene with like she's having to blow like this balloon pilot up, and it's from the crotch region. So that happens, and like you can see all the teachers like kind of starting to like the dawning of like what we're about to watch. And then there's another joke where like this old white woman makes a joke about how she likes her coffee like she likes her men, next to like these two thug black dudes who were speaking Ebonics. And then like there's another scene where they realize like, so like everyone starts passing out because of food poisoning, and like this one woman's starting to get hysterical. And so like they're trying to console her, and instead he just starts slapping the crap out of her, and you're like, what is happening? And then like they all get in line and just start slapping this lady. And then another scene, like it closes up on like this woman who's wearing a tight sweater, and they're getting turbulence, and so her boobs are bouncing really hard. And then later on in the film, you full on see her boobs, like completely shirtless. And that's when like the head teacher like tackled the TV that was like, it was like one of those big box ones that's on like the stilts, the rolly tray.
I'm honestly surprised they kept it on after.
Yeah, it's one of the best memories I have of sixth grade. It was the greatest. Like we talked about it for the rest of the year. It was amazing.
Okay, so I got a story similar. I don't know if it's better, but it's definitely adjacently as good. Okay, so sixth grade as well. So there was this incident in Clifton where there was
Clifton, 1995.
I don't know what year it was, but there was a drunk driving thing where like two kids died or whatever, or one kid died.
Hilarious, PJ.
No, I'm getting there. Okay, this is the setup. So this went around town quickly, right? And then so they wanted to make this anti-drinking drug campaign, and so
sponsor us.
So luckily, there was a celebrity that always was around Clifton hunting. Okay, his name was Ted Nugent.
My boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's what happened, right? So they called a big thing. They set it up. So we went to the high school gym. So all the high schools up there in the bleachers. So Robbie's up there. He's a freshman at the time, and so I'm in sixth grade. My sister is like in seventh grade, and so we get called up too, right? So we get lined up on the floor, and then this Ted Nugent dude comes up. You
got to meet Ted
awesome.
Nugent, and I'm just now hearing this.
Right. So
it's a pretty good story.
This is a pretty good story. So like he's sitting there, right? And he does the most Ted Nugent thing ever. He gets there with his Marshall amp and his guitar, right? To open up the whole thing. They're like, "Hey, this is Ted Nugent," and he gets the guitar.
Like, who?
He plays the national anthem. Everybody knew who he was. We were all.
That's good.
Even I knew who he was, and I was like, anyway. So he plays the national anthem, like rips it, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah, that's like my favorite song in the world.
It's one of the most memorable things. But continue, PJ.
Yeah. So that was the beginning, right?
Makes my heart warm.
So in little Christian Bible Belt Tech Clifton, right? He gets up there and he starts talking. He starts the most foul mouth thing ever, right? He was like, "Raise your fucking hands if you like doing drugs, if you like drinking," and everybody was sitting there like
in sixth grade.
I mean, like the high schoolers, because I was watching them, right? Because we're on the gym floor, and so I was looking over because I kind of knew what was happening, And nobody raises their hand. And he was like, "What are you, fucking cowards? Come on, you pussies, raise your hands." And like you start seeing people kind of raise their hands. He was like, "Own up to that shit if you're gonna do it, dude." And like he went on for like an hour, right? And then I remember looking over because I was like, "Is this happening? This guy's saying words I'm not supposed to hear."
Ted Nugent is, I 100% believe this.
And so like, because me, I was like, because I hadn't really heard stuff like that before, because I was like pretty sheltered, and I was like,
yeah, small
what
town.
is going on? And I look over and I see all the teachers going, "What are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do?"
And then so there's this principal guy. He used to be my principal in elementary school, and so I knew who he was, but he had moved from elementary to high school, so he kind of skipped over the middle school thing. So I knew who he was, and I saw him over there, and he was like, "Okay, that'll be fine." And he went on and just did this huge rant, just cussing everybody out, calling people out in the stands like, you look like you do cocaine. Dude, it's like one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And they just let him go. And then the newspaper was like, came to the school and was like, "How could you let them do this?" And he was like, the principal was like, "This is the real world. people will talk like this. Drugs are a real thing. I think they needed a sober awakening, and then everybody just dropped it. But it was one of the funniest things ever because there were so many mad parents.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, he was talking about suicide and death and drinking, and I'm here in 6th grade going, "What is going
You're getting
on?"
the real life. This is the real
It
rock
was
the world.
intense.
Meanwhile,
dude.
in our 6th grade, we had the sex
don't
ed
want
thing
none
where
of
they
this.
take they take the Velcro gloves and they like smash them together like this, and they're like, "That's how babies are made." Like we were like
I was
children.
drawing pictures in that class. It was our coach. Oh, he was my defensive end coach.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then they just told us that if you lose your virginity, it's okay. You could just lie and say you didn't, and you get it back. And we're like, what? Yeah,
Gotcha.
education.
I'm telling you, dude, like I'll never forget that. Him sitting there
No, that's
playing
awesome.
the national anthem. I was like, oh, this is
That's-
gonna be kind of cool.
that's-
because I had been playing guitar for like 3 or 4 years at that point, and I was like, oh, this guy's cool. He's playing guitar. Then just f-bombs for an hour.
So basically, me with a shred of talent.
right.
Getting a foot in the door. Let me tell you kids what's about to happen.
As I'm pounding beers, like don't drink.
I just remember sitting there and I'm like not believing this is real.
I don't
was
know.
Like, what?
I just feel like me
I
as
just think
like
we watched the not drugs, the Dare. That's my
yeah.
sixth
Well,
grade.
he actually is like famously straight edge. Like he has never had I think he's had 2 beers in his life and he's never done any drugs.
Nugent.
Yeah.
He is now for sure.
Well, he's always been the straight edge guy.
Then why is he doing that?
Telling them not to drink.
Was he saying not to do any?
Yeah,
of,
of
these
course.
things?
Well, they wouldn't
Oh,
have him
okay.
come in there and
It-
encourage him to get
Yeah, it was
messed up.
anti-drinking and smoking.
Yeah,
and
he's
doing
just
drugs
one of the
and-
most foul. He's from
We-
Has
Michigan.
foul mouth.
Yeah, we literally just had a.
He lives here, right? He's
a
Texas.
wreck.
He lives half at the time in kind of like Waco area, and then
Hunting.
the other half, and the other half
Yeah.
of the time is in Michigan.
Yeah, so Waco.
I don't know
area-
why I know this, though.
Waco area means Clifton.
Yeah, he's
By the
down
way.
there and he's shooting boars.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he was hanging
always-
out with Anthony Bourdain down there. Not that a long time ago now.
A lot of people gave Joe
Right.
Rogan crap for bringing him on their show, and he's like, dude, it's Ted Nugent. Like,
Well, people give people crap about anything they disagree with now.
don't read the comments.
You know.
Mhm.
Don't read the comments.
Oh, good. We haven't even hit the second point yet. Actually, we did. We talked about Cobra Kai,
You know
right?
what's weird? This bottle is the shape of your body to sneak it in your your body. Like if I was gonna stick this in my coat, this thing in the back, that's what that is. It's like either a holder
Show the crowd.
or like you know, like this is a little bit
Whale
big.
just likes rubbing bottles on his nipple.
Yeah,
But you can
seriously.
hide it in your
His
jacket.
fetish exposed.
It can hide it in your jacket. I know it's kind of big and might be
me see.
bulgy, but that's pretty much what that's for.
Sponsor us.
That's a Texas brand. You never know. They could be right down
That's
the street.
my point. Give us money.
This is actually the whiskey.
Please.
Devil's River is actually the whiskey
Yeah.
that sponsors Larry Joe Taylor pretty often.
Yeah, I can
They're
see
from
That's where I
Tarleton.
first-
Yeah,
Sponsor
that's where I
us.
first
I'm
tried
not
it.
saying I'll ever be famous, but if I do get famous, I have plenty of stories to tell on the talk shows.
If I
like
get
Jimmy
famous,
Fallon.
I want to be the Matthew McConaughey of Buffalo Trace.
Are you listening?
Yeah,
Jimmy
Jimmy,
Fallon.
It's like,
Oh, well, if we're
I
going
can
to talk
tell-
about Jimmy Fallon, can we talk about how he says the same thing in every interview?
Oh,
Right.
no.
It's great. It's so great. It's great. It's so great.
Dude,
It's
you ever
the
met
best
you're
anyone-
thing. Great.
ruining my chances
Have you ever met
right
anyone
now.
fancy? Have you
Yeah,
met?
I've met plenty of fancy
have you
people.
met anyone famous, Dylan?
I've actually met quite a few famous
You're
people.
ruining my chances.
Who was it? Like what your first one? First experience?
first
I think
one?
that was probably PJ's first.
Jimmy Fallon.
Man,
No.
that's a tough question. I have to think about that. Most of the time when I was a little kid, mostly athletes. So I don't really know how relevant they all stayed.
Athletes don't count.
They're more famous than you.
I remember meeting the Green Ranger.
What's his name?
Where'd you meet the Green
Tommy.
Ranger at?
No, his
No,
real
what's
name
his
is Jason.
actual name?
Jason something.
Board.
I don't remember what it is. Jason what?
I don't I was asking.
It's Jason something. Anyway,
Board.
I remember meeting him. I met the Red Ranger
He
too.
was just gonna not even acknowledge your joke.
I don't think PJ heard me. He's
Jason
like, he thought
Bourne?
you said it.
I
I'm sorry,
heard
what'd
you.
you say? What was the name?
Okay, so I hear things a little different from you guys. I hear him in here.
You think this
And-
is confusing that PJ can't actually see our faces like talking? So
Yeah,
he's
and
like,
the other
"Who's
thing
saying
is-
something?"
I have these
talking
headphones-
shit to PJ right
If
now.
we both talk in an accent,
We're
can hear
both
you.
talking with our Tom Hardy
you won't be
voice.
able to understand us.
The other thing is I have my headphones on backwards, so when you talk, I hear it from over here, and when he talks, I hear it from over there. That's why I'm like,
So much ideas.
Oh, how could we mess with this man?
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
No, but stop it. I was gonna say, so I met those guys when I was little because I know who got me into the whole convention. Like,
It doesn't
dealing-
matter who we
my
are.
dad used to take us these things called Rama Amas or something. It was like these big
Rama
conventions,
Bahama Mamas.
right? And that's how we met the Power Rangers and all these other cool things. He
You
would
got to
take-
go to conventions before we had to pay $50 to meet each person?
Yeah, dude. You just walk up to them and talk to them. You know, like I remember going there and like it would be like, Autorama. That's what it was called. And they had it in Waco, and they always had these big celebrities come in and like do this thing, and like so I met a bunch of people.
I bet you got to meet William Shatner before he cost $100 to meet.
It wasn't the first celebrity I met,
The
but I
money,
actually
dude,
cooked for
the
Randy
money.
Travis a few times,
I heard about that.
and then I've cooked for Chris Daughtry. He's a douchebag. I said it here
Explain.
first. He doesn't tip, and he doesn't treat the waitress.
Home.
He
Pat
treats
Green
the
apparently is pretty
waitresses.
cool.
He treats the waitresses. Basically, imagine like a guy who orders a crap ton of food and is very dismissive, and then doesn't tip you at all.
Mike
Jones.
Jones.
He was kind of a douche.
Yeah, he is a douche.
I'm Mike
now,
Jones.
Randy Travis though is a
Call
perfect
out.
gentleman when he's not naked.
Yeah, that's funny.
Mike Jones isn't a tipper.
Don't know who.
Damn.
Oh,
I'm Mike Jones.
keep my name at your mouth.
Yes,
Is that the same song? I don't know.
kind of, but it's the rapper.
No, I don't.
He doesn't tip much at all. He'll tip you like $5 on like a $500 tab.
Yeah, that's
Damn.
more than Chris Daughtry.
For some weird reason, people out there think that a $1 tip per head is how you're supposed to tip. It doesn't matter what your bill actually gets to.
Seriously?
I
I've never
I started
heard that.
noticing it as a pattern. Like certain people were starting to think that like, oh, we have 5 people in our family. Here's $5. Sir,
No,
your bill was
that's insane.
$200. Yeah, here's $5. That's a tip, right? They don't know. Like half of them don't understand how to tip.
At a bare minimum, I tip 20.
With the absence of a person who's supposed to teach you how to do those things,
I just feel like that should be.
common knowledge, no.
Well, I don't believe in common knowledge. Common knowledge at one point with Earth was flat. Common knowledge was that
I understood foreigners. When foreigners tip weird, it's because they don't.
They don't really have tipping.
They don't
in
have
their
tipping in
countries.
theirs. They have the tip share thing going on where they just pay more for the food.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like waiters in most countries get paid like a proper wage,
Right.
So they don't really need.
And some of the restaurants
it's actually
are-
considered insulting. In
Some of the
France.
restaurants are turning into that now though, where they're paying like.
I think
$50,
it actually
$16.
works better that way.
And I wouldn't have been a server though if you can't actually get that hustle.
No, yeah, I agree. I think the incentive for the server is better, but
That was the fun part. I'm gonna be honest. Like that was the fun part of how good could I be as a server to get that tip. You know, it was kind of a trick. It was fun for a while. Obviously, I got burnt out over the time, but
It doesn't sound very fun to me.
it was still cool.
it was not fun.
I
for
would
me.
much rather be a server than be a winter circle worker, PJ.
A wiener circle.
No, granted.
I'll take
you're
being
right.
a chef over both of those.
I wouldn't be able to work with the cooks. Not with mine.
I don't know them, so I can't say. But for
There's
me,
too much Spanish speaking, and I
oh,
can't
see,
speak it.
that's
It'd be
part
ve-
of the, that's
I
part of
like
the
them all.
the pizza.
I worked with them as a party server. I worked
Fettuccine
with them.
Alfredo.
See, I think that's why I get so frustrated when I go into certain jobs where like it's run poorly, because I have literally run kitchens where not only were most of the language that was spoken Spanish, but I had guys working for me that spoke French, spoke Russian, spoke like some weird like obscure language. I think it was
Through all that, did you get to say we?
I did actually a
Hell
lot.
yes.
No, so that's the thing is
We-
like so
we-
we had like this like basically imagine your kitchen just a little bit longer.
We chef.
But like that's the amount of like room you had. And so we had that, and I had like 10 guys, and none of them all spoke at least the same language. We basically had like some like little bit of broken English and a little bit of broken Spanish, and we would combine that in what's called kitchen speak.
Yeah.
Which is like a English Spanish body language.
All I know is,
gestures.
is it on the ticket? Is it on the ticket?
No
Put it on the
ticket, no
ticket.
taco.
Put it on the ticket. I'm like,
There-
it is on the ticket. Well, it needs to be on the ticket. It is on the ticket. You just don't know how to read English.
Well, the funnest thing I think I've ever done is like so. The guys I worked with, like one of our favorite things, because the front of the house and the back of the house hate each other. That's just science. And the back of the house is better than the front of the house, and we'll get that out of the way. Facts.
We are the face of the entire.
and we are
organization.
literally
Company.
without us, you literally would have no job.
I could cook it.
You
too.
forgot the winter
couldn't-
circle house.
That's not in most
You
restaurants.
forgot the winter
Oh.
circle house. Those people
Oh,
that come
yeah,
and go every
the
month.
the Chuck E. Cheese.
How long were you there for, PJ? 2 months before the whole place
Then the
got
world
coronavirus?
ended. The world
yeah,
ended.
that's it.
I was the
That's our
bouncer
luck,
for
man.
one day.
That's straight
But-
up our luck. We have
but-
life-changing scenarios happening, and then the world ends.
Will, can
completely.
you imagine if we hadn't moved up here yet and this happened? It'd be
Just be at
crazy.
our houses, hanging out.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have all these cool podcasts and music videos and new albums. Check them out.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us.
But anyways, we would, like they'd come up and try to order stuff on the fly, and we would just go, "Oh, no habla inglés," and it would really piss him off when I would say that. And I don't know why, but I get a lot of pleasure telling that to the owner's wife that I don't speak English when she's trying to mess up the expedite.
I think my favorite one that you had was the we're out of peanut butter sandwiches.
Oh man,
right?
86ing things that we'd never had in the first place. So like you'd work in like let's say when I worked at the Italian restaurant, I would 86 chimichangas like every Friday and just watch the chaos unfold as all the wait staff would run around like chickens with their head cut off, like, oh my god, we're out of Mexican food at this Italian restaurant. And then
you need to know. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, and then I would constantly do stuff like that because I'm
honestly,
a monster.
That's better knowing something got 86th than them not telling you
Yeah,
ever.
I agree. Well,
an entire Saturday night goes by. We've already up $100,000 in grand of coming into the company, and you won't tell us that we're out of lettuce wraps? We're out of the specific lettuce for lettuce wraps, and you won't even tell us that we can't do that, and we already sent in another 10 orders?
That's something I'm on your side with, because that infuriated me on my end, because if my guys aren't communicating with y'all, then y'all can't do your jobs correctly, which screws us more than it screws you.
That's all I'm asking.
And that screws us. And then I'm in the back cussing everyone out in as much cuss words language as I know, including Chinese, and because
then I have to deal with it over at the winter circle.
Because our prep cook,
you get the after effect of if they got a bad service.
Can I complain about Ash Wednesday for a second?
Yeah,
not the actual holiday. I have no problem with the actual thing. Sponsor us. I'm just gonna keep doing that till we get money.
Hold on, real quick. Is anyone else getting a banana flavor from this?
I thought it was banana.
Are you tasting
flavored. That? Yeah.
Okay, I'm not crazy. Y'all are tasting there.
Yeah.
Every time I drink it, I feel like I'm getting banana.
It kind of reminds me of something Frodo Baggins would drink. Ding. That was.
It's not bad at all. I like it, but it just has a banana hint, and it's really freaking me out.
This would pair well with the screwball.
All right, not real banana. That artificial banana flavor.
Continue.
Like a Runts flavored banana.
Ash Wednesday.
Basically, every year at every restaurant I'd ever worked in, I would warn the kitchen manager or the owner, whoever's ever my boss, that we're gonna have to prep a crap load of fish for this upcoming Ash Wednesday, because that's gonna be the day of the year where most people eat fish.
Nope.
Because of the religious reasons. That's just science. Right.
But also the people that don't actually ever go outside of Easter and Christmas.
Then you get all the
you get all the normals.
Yeah, you get all
and then the people who only go to specifically Christmas and Easter.
Exactly. And you get all the pretend ones. I'm calling you out, Baptist Church Alito kids that would pretend to be Catholics. I remember. And
I remember.
And you would warn them, and they'd just look at you like you're like stupid, and be like, "We don't hardly ever sell fish. It's barely even on our menu." And then go about it, and you weren't allowed to prep extra fish because we weren't allowed to order it.
I'm not gonna lie though, fish needs to be on every menu, regardless of like the style.
IHOP?
I think they could do that at IHOP. Maybe tilapia or catfish.
Okay, I can buy catfish.
I think it needs to be on every menu at all times because dang, me and PJ during this quarantine, we eat fish probably 3 times a week. Yeah. Like that's like our norm.
Not only
like,
that, like you always have the people that want to eat healthy that are on a date with someone that doesn't. So you need to have options. I agree. But at the same time, though, like we should have, like if we know a day that's set in stone that we know is going to be set up for a certain like food going to be more popular.
Yeah.
You should probably prep that, right?
Yeah. If there was like Lamb Chop Tuesday once a year, you'd prep lamb chops for that day.
I don't like lamb chops.
I don't like lamb either.
I don't either, but that's besides the point.
Pork chops. Like
I love pork chops. Don't you dare.
I don't.
Don't you dare.
Bro,
you gotta give me some good ones. You gotta give me some good ones because man, every time I have them, I'm like, I would rather have gotten
my mouth is literally like watering here thinking about it.
Same.
Like there's a place in Southside Chicago that they do is sell bone-in pork chop sandwiches.
That sounds amazing.
And it is drunk at 2:00.
Why would you have a bone-in pork chop sandwich?
Because it's Southside Chicago. They can't afford boneless pork chops.
Cut the meat off the bone. You can't do a sandwich with a bone in there.
Well, okay. Way to go, government man.
I'm just saying.
If people want to buy it, then let them buy it.
Call me a G-man, but you shouldn't have bone in a sandwich.
Well, that's how it is. It's also what gives it the flavor. But anyways.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
No.
This is okay.
Give the flavor and then cut it off the bone.
No,
Dylan.
you're wrong. What's the question?
It's really off topic. We can wait.
Go for it.
Let's wait. No, because we're talking about.
Because I'm just going to be ranting about how like people never prepare for things, and
I mean,
then
we need
then
to be best about staying on topic.
every single year we would get destroyed by like 1,000 orders of fishes. I'm not fish, not fishes. I'm not kidding. Literally, like one restaurant, 1,000 orders of fish in one day, when we would usually maybe average 8 in a whole day.
Oh yeah, no, it's rare.
And then so we would get destroyed, and they'd look at me like I was the idiot that didn't warn them literally a week ago that we needed to make sure we had this in stock. And it would happen every year. Every restaurant I've ever worked in, it was the same story every year.
Mm-hmm. What kind of fish did y'all cook?
Depends on the restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like catfish is such an easy one to get ready. Specifically for just the Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday's happening. We're specifically doing specialty.
Certain restaurants it was catfish, but I've cooked a lot of tilapia, mahi, that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna be
basic
honest.
fish.
I'm gonna be honest. I
Cod.
thought salmon was my favorite.
Salmon's good.
I thought it was my favorite. I think tilapia is my favorite.
Tilapia is definitely my favorite.
It literally blends the best with like rice and all sorts of things.
Yeah, it tastes the best.
It's salmon's still one of my tops, and it's still one of the best proteins you could possibly get. Me. But tilapia, because we did cod the other day, and it wasn't as much natural butter flavor.
Get yourself a tuna steak. That's top tier. Tuna steak and swordfish. That's when you're living big.
You can't find swordfish in the store, but I could probably find the tuna.
When we go to Galveston.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Chilean sea bass.
I never ever thought 10 years ago me would be like, no, we're not going to go eat seafood, PJ. That's gross. And now,
oh, dude, I'm
eating raw.
I get hyped. Yeah, I was gonna say I get hyped for going to actual sushi places.
One of the best dates you could possibly take a girl out to is sushi.
And if she says no, don't date her.
It's amazing.
Same thing with barbecue. If a girl ever says she doesn't like barbecue, I'm putting that ring away.
Well, it's a light food. You get energy from it, and then you get to move on, and y'all could get something else later if you want to keep the day going.
Interesting. Okay, it's time for my question.
Interesting.
So. No, I agree with you.
I hate when you say that.
I hate sushi, though. I'm sorry.
It feels very dismissive.
I'm so tired of hearing PJ talk all the time.
Interesting.
Speaking of that, check out our new music video where me and PJ start getting aggravated at each other.
I'm actually being held prisoner here against my will.
Yeah,
so.
he's
I lured him in with pancakes,
which I never received.
He was tricked.
So here's I don't know why I thought of this. It's for a bunch of different reasons. Mainly when you said tuna, I thought of this, and it's not gonna make any sense to you. But
great,
You will never understand this.
I was
pathetic little being. But
no, it's just
half a brain, Dylan.
That's the new nickname. Instead of little Dylan, it's gonna be
Dylan, half a brain.
Dylan, the half a brain.
It matches his stature. Oh, shut down.
A half a brain is funny for your. No.
Your father was a hamster, and your mother smelled the berries. I fought in your general direction.
All right, Peter, we just say.
So. Last week on the last podcast, you and David were talking about the MK Ultra thing, right? And so
it has to do with tuna.
Yeah, it does. I'll tell you why.
Speaking of tuna,
so I
CIA experiments on people.
So basically, here's what I'm going to get to. I watched some videos on Joe Rogan. You know, he had this guy on who was like an expert in that stuff, wrote a book, all this stuff, and so the MK Ultra is like the CIA.
Have you ever tried DMT?
No. Just let me get to this.
Let
me get to this. Joe Rogan reference, guys. Sorry.
So, hang on. Okay, so MK Ultra is the CIA, right? And I know you don't watch it, but American Dad, Stan Smith, is in the CIA, and his alien is called Roger Smith. And I found out watching the podcast that there was a big CIA scientist who did a lot of that stuff and like tripped messed all the people up.
His name was Roger Smith.
His name was Roger Smith. Do you think they did that on purpose?
Probably.
It's kind of like that's some upper level stuff right there.
That is pretty deep, but yeah, I would assume that was on purpose.
That's pretty.
If
that's
it's
pretty
Seth
cool.
MacFarlane that did it too, didn't he?
Yeah. So
he seems like a smart guy for someone who's comedies shit.
Like I never, obviously, I wouldn't have connected that because I didn't know that information. But when he said, "Yeah,"
the
scientist named Roger Smith, was the one that was there working on Bundy or something, one of those people,
Right.
And I was like, "Wait, what did he say? Smith, Roger Smith, CIA, Stan Smith, American Dad," and it all just connected with me. So like, I think they did it on purpose.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
I would definitely assume that's on purpose.
Super cool. While Waylon's not here, I want to talk about an actor because he hates this actor. Nah, he probably likes him. Let me look at his name. His name is Cliff Curtis. You know who that is?
What's he in?
He's right there.
His face is the guy that plays every ethnicity
Yes,
of all time.
this guy. If you don't know who this guy is, people, this guy is
He's
amazing.
actually an incredible actor.
He's so incredible. But outside of just him being a phenomenal actor, it's crazy how he disappears. I honestly don't know what ethnicity he is, but he's played every single one
I believe
you can
he's
think
American.
of. If that skin is brown, he's played it.
If that skin's white, he might have played it too. Like
Right?
he's played every kind of character that you could imagine.
I mean, look there. He's a Mexican right there in Training Day. He's Hawaiian in Hobbs and Shaw. He's played Indian. I think he might be Indian. But he's played Indians. He's played whatever they are in the horrible Last Airbender movie. You know, he's played.
You mean the masterpiece that was The Last Airbender?
We saw that with all of our friends.
We did, and
I remember going like, this is what y'all been telling
Same,
me all about.
same.
I never ever, and I know people argue with me on this, but like I never went and saw the Nickelodeon show after that. Like that.
Yeah, I never watched
everything
it because
about
that movie.
and I know y'all are gonna be like, you don't know the show. It's the same people saying, oh, you never read the book. Listen, I think I got the gist of it.
I think it couldn't get better than the M. Night Shyamalan masterpiece that I watched. The best part of that movie, though, is like he gives this horrible wooden speech to the Earth people about how they need to rise up and be proud of being Earth people or whatever. I don't know the terms.
Remember.
Well, I do because this is one of my favorite bad scenes in all of cinema ever. And so he gives this supposedly rounding, epic speech to the Earth people, and they get all hyped and like they're about to fight the fire people. And the music's swelling. It's this epic music, and like you're like, oh my god, yes, finally some actual plot in this movie. And because the whole premise of the show is that they can basically Jedi things with certain elements.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting like boulders and like the earth cracking, like opening up, like earthquake. And just like killing all these people that have firepower, and instead like they start doing this stupid ass like interpretive dance bullshit while making noises like and like a couple of like pebbles and rocks rise up like slowly drift their way to the fire people who are like, oh no, even though they could literally kill them with their flamethrower hands right off the bat. It's one
I
of
don't
the
even remember that much of that movie.
because it's one of the worst scenes I have ever seen in a film.
I like blocked that. Wasn't there someone annoying in front of us, or
Yes,
some little
so
kid
there-
that was crying?
No, so there was
someone
this-
got mad at us because we were giggling.
So there was this couple in front of us that was really pissed off at me because I thought this was the funniest shit I'd ever seen. I can't. I remember this. I'll never forget this film because we saw it with one of our friends, Holly, who's obsessed with the cartoon. It's her favorite thing, and like she was just emotionally devastated by this like destruction of her like favorite show. It'd basically like be like having one of your children murdered in front of you is basically what it looked like on her face, and basically almost any Stephen King adaptation that Violet's watched with me.
I felt so bad during Dr. Sleep, just looking over like, this is what y'all are all about. Like,
yeah, well, not me. I shit on Stephen King every day.
I continue.
But anyways, this scene was just so embarrassingly bad. Like it's in my top 10 favorite bad scenes, and M. Night Shyamalan takes at least three slots on that list. But I laughed so hard that this couple in front of us who was enjoying this bastardization of a film, that they turned around and they're like, can you not? And I was like, no, I'm going to laugh my ass off at this.
Yeah, dude, I remember seeing that movie. This guy played the Fire Nation guy in this.
Yeah,
right? I don't know what he was in that, but like I'm telling you, this guy has been in some really good movies. Like the first
he was
thing
embarrassed is what he was
in that. Yes, but the first thing I
is
ever
that the
saw
Walking
on
Dead guy?
Yeah, the Fear of the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Right. The first thing I ever saw on one was Collateral Damage. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Great movie.
He plays a Brazilian in that, right?
I think he played a terrorist, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
And he's so good in it, and like and he's not even being the leader. It was the girl the whole time. Anyway, so I saw him in that. I was like, oh, this guy must be like Brazilian or Colombian. That was Colombia, right? Colombian. And then like everything I saw him afterwards, I was like, what? Wait, now he's Mexican, which I know is close. but then he was like Israeli, and then he was like a whole bunch of other things.
It's
And
called acting.
Yeah,
Gary Oldman has been so many. Like Gary Oldman is the greatest actor of all time because like he'll
That's
be
fair.
in movies and you won't even realize he's in it until you see his name in the credits and you're like, who did he
Right,
play?
right.
And you'll look it up and you'll be like, oh, that was Gary freaking
Which
Oldman.
typically is like the main character or someone
Yeah,
right next to him.
it's so insane. Like Fifth Element, you would never know that he was the villain in that film because he's basically Billy Bob Thornton in that film.
No, it's the exact same as Kingpin from Daredevil.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
mixing
yeah.
him with like Jurassic Park.
It's
and all
also
those other
like
things.
Edward Norton. Like remember in
Yeah.
Alita Battle Angel when that
Edward
big
Norton's
twist
pretty
happened?
noticeable.
And like the big twist in that movie is that the villain the whole time was Edward Norton.
I
was
don't
like,
think that's
what?
a twist.
But
I
he's
don't
pretty
think-
noticeable. It's
I
not
think
one of those
for
like,
me-
wait, Edward Norton was in that?
For me, the only film
Yeah,
that
that's how it was, Waylon. You're sitting there and like, oh look, this guy's
I didn't
bad.
see it.
No,
This is
you
the bad
would-
guy,
you
and then all of a
would-
sudden you see him and you're like,
Well, it's not-
whoa,
I feel like I knew that from the trailer.
He just gets revealed.
whoa,
at the
plot
end.
twist.
It's not,
It's
not in the
Edward
trailer.
Norton.
No,
I'm just
it's
saying.
just a plot. It's
It
not
is-
a plot twist. It's just a reveal.
It's one of the most amazing
The-
plot twists
for
I've ever
me,
seen.
it's
That
a
the
plot
whole
twist.
time he was that guy was Edward Norton.
Vocabulary.
Like whoa.
No. Anyways, for me, the biggest like, whoa, that was Edward Norton was when he played the king in the Kingdom of Heaven film.
All right, Kingdom of Heaven.
I
That-
love
I
that movie.
never-
That is Orlando Bloom's best, my opinion.
Best non-Lord of the Rings.
At Drake.
No. I would take
Hey,
Last
bro.
Kingdom of Heaven better than Lord of the Rings for him.
Oh,
not
you
for
mean
the
like
movie.
as the actor
the
himself, like
actor.
his role? Yeah, fair
Because
enough.
in Lord of the Rings,
He's
he literally spotted everything that was obvious.
his elf eyes see.
Darkness is coming. Yeah, I see it
played- he
right
played
there.
the part
All right,
well.
I see it right over there.
It's actually his first role.
That's one of his best roles. It is.
It
is his
legitimately, Legolas was his first film role.
And
It-
he played his part well, but I agree with Waylon.
Kingdom
Kingdom
Heaven's
Heaven
better.
is amazing in
He-
it.
one-
yeah.
No, it's one of my favorite films.
Lord of the Rings, yes, is my favorites. Right.
At Drink.
What's funny
That's
is
the same drink.
what's funny. Complete. Not off topic, but banana. Anyways, not off topic, but I did just beat Star Wars and then went right over to Lord of the Rings. Like PJ sat there and watched me do both.
Every time you say it.
But Kingdom of Heaven though, like that's by far probably my favorite.
Specifically, the director's cut.
I don't even know
I
if
was
I've
saying
seen the
it.
director's cut.
Oh, Waylon,
If
if
we're
you
gonna talk
like,
about scores,
if you
Kingdom of
enjoy-
Heaven's
Yes.
score.
if you enjoyed the theatrical cut, you're gonna be obsessed with the director's cut.
Isn't that one of those sleepers? Did I see that? I don't think I saw that in theater.
I didn't see it in theaters.
I think that's one of those. I caught it later on,
It had a very short release for some reason.
and it was amazing.
You know, and I will give you that one.
That's
but
also the movie that I discovered
It's-
one of the first loves of my life, Eva Green.
Ooh.
To complete honesty, though, that's probably one of the most meaningful movies of humankind creation. Probably that movie.
Those-
The
yeah.
concept and the belief that's in there. It's like we need to be paying attention to this. Like, why are we killing each other over these things?
Yeah,
Because God wills it.
and so taking it back to Edward
And the
Norton,
guy who played
thinking of that
the
movie.
Arabian guy, another one of my favorites.
Which one?
I don't know the guy's name.
Salahadin?
Was it Salahadin or
Well,
no,
which-
the
which-
friend, the one that found him and saved him?
the one that he befriends. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is actually
Because he appears
excellent.
in a lot of things. I don't know his name.
I can't think of that actor's name either, but he is great. He was in Game of Thrones. too, wasn't
Saladin was great too.
He was. No, he was like one of the I fuck that show. I can't remember.
So
We're like blocking most of it out, sadly.
Well, after season 5, I just kind of like once I realized what this show became, I just blocked out everything.
What's sad is like I got into it by season 3. Remember me telling you that? I was like season 1, season 2, it's honestly just a soft porno. But once
I
season
disagree.
3, season
I think
4,
season 1 and 2 were the ones with the
season
most
3 and
political
4 is
plot.
when you actually start getting the character developments where you're like, okay.
See, for
Anyways.
me, what made me fall in love with the show was all the political strategy that was going on, all the like the chess moves. That's what made me interested in the show.
I feel like that didn't happen until 3.
Oh no, it happened from the get go.
I mean, it was a soft porno.
It was the best soft porno I've ever watched.
Dicks and Dragons.
Best budgeted soft porno I've ever
What
seen.
were you gonna say, PJ?
Lord of the G
I was just
strings.
shaking in my head.
Planet of the Babes. I can keep going. Skinamax.
Gotta get them babes.
Like, okay, so I would
Spider Babe. Yeah, I remember the early 2000s. Hey, it was better than the Sears catalog. Give me a break.
I was just gonna say that you said you was like, oh, that's Edward Norton and that, right? Well, the movie that did to me the most, even more than Alita: Battle Angel, and this is partly because I came in like halfway through the movie. The first
Great
time I
movie,
watched
though.
it,
Fight Club.
no. Obviously, I knew that was Edward Norton, but in this movie,
His
it blew my
best.
mind because I came in halfway through the movie and like he was this big green monster, and then I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden he was Edward. I was like,
American
what?
History
That
X?
guy was Edward Norton the whole time.
All right, let's talk about Hulk.
Yeah, I'm talking about
The
Hulk.
Edward Norton Hulk.
I'm talking about Hulk. Hulk by
The
the way.
Gracie family came in on that one. That was actually pretty cool.
What?
He was trained for
Yeah, he
the
was
for the
trained by
Hulk.
the
He was
Gracies.
trained by the Gracies, which is the UFC stars. Like that's like the legendary.
They're
stars.
basically the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like
Gotcha.
essentially founders. And UFC was the first couple of UFCs was kind of rigged in their favor. So
Yeah, and so one of those guys came over. It was like the middle brother, I think, came over and trained Edward Norton to like for technique and stuff, which is weird. 'Cause he didn't really need it.
yeah,
for
he
that.
didn't use it at all in the movie. Like
It
at
was
all.
there for breathing to control his anger. It
right,
was, it was
but
in the
that you
movie
could
for
he
that.
could have just done some lame like novice day yoga, like hot yoga
Right.
for
Yeah.
that. You know.
It's one of those awkward like.
Well, the movie
It's
itself
cool the
was
direction you were
awkward.
thinking, but like you were overthinking, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what he does. I think if that's the problem I have with the Hulk is there's so many good like adaptations they could have made. Like there's so much to do with that character, and we'll never get it because they always had to give us the same crap,
Never. Get
and
it.
then it did so bad that they basically nerfed him and just made him like an irrelevant character in the actual Avengers
You
movies.
legitimately just have to make like a King Kong version of, but it's the Hulk instead.
Well,
Like-
give me like so the 1970s show was actually really good. Like
Lou
for what
Ferrigno,
it is.
everybody.
So you have basically the whole premise is that he's on the run and he's basically trying to keep an alias, keep it undercover, but while trying to keep himself calm while he tries to solve how to fix this issue. And basically he deals with stuff along the way. While meanwhile, like the military's hunting him. Like that's you can set that up for some pretty good storytelling. Give us basically the movie with Harrison Ford where he gets framed for his wife's murder. Give us that, but with
Yeah.
like a monster movie vibe, that'd be amazing. Nope, we're just gonna get him going. Oh, like me if I'm angry, Edward Norton.
And as much as I love Mark Ruffalo too, I don't know.
Boo.
I really enjoyed.
I mean,
Edward Norton better.
Ragnarok though, like that was probably my favorite time to see Hulk.
Oh no, that's
Yeah,
by
yeah,
far
yeah.
the best of the Hulk.
Like that's when Thor just right in his place. The other two Thor movies like forgettable,
I'm
but
just-
like
I-
that movie, like that set Thor in stone. One of my top favorites. I know
we're
some
gonna
people
have a
argue that.
revolution over
It's
here.
my top 5
It's
best
one of my top
MCU
MCUs.
movies.
Yeah,
It's probably going to be 2 or 3 for me.
I would say top
Maybe
5.
one.
I don't include the Avengers movies because that's kind of like the
You take out all the group
That's
ones.
fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
But like as far as the individual films, it's top 3.
Iron Man,
The original, yeah.
the original.
yeah.
I'd say the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are pretty damn good.
I
I'd put
that's
Ant
fair.
Man in there in my top 5.
No, not for me.
I love watching the Ant Man. It's a standalone.
Paul Rudd alone is amazing.
I like the-
him with what's his name? What's his name?
Oh, Michael Pena.
Yeah,
Great actor.
Michael Pena,
So
dude.
that-
Oh my goodness.
man. If they would have just opened up Avengers, the newest one, like with all the crap
The
going
reason
on,
why they didn't is because it would have taken away the seriousness
just
of the
him,
situation.
him dropping the story would have been perfect.
It really
That's
would
how
have.
they should introduce Ant-Man 3 though, is have him give a recap of
So
everything that's left.
this is what happened. Oh man,
Dude, I'm telling you, on that the first Ant movie, when we got that for the first time, it was so funny. He was just like go with everything, like I don't know. It was so good. That guy's hilarious, and I've been watching that guy for a while now.
Paul?
And he's always been amazing. No, Michael
Pena.
Pena.
Oh, Michael Pena. No, the coolest thing about Ant Man.
Michael Pineapple.
So you know how all the other Avengers got into crazy shape and they get their glorious showing off their bodies and stuff in the movie shots at some point, right? The dudes get like Thor and all them get to show off their ripped bodies. They so conservatively show the fact that Ant-Man got into shape, and it's so nonchalant. He's sitting there just putting on a suit, sitting over a bathtub or something, just putting on his shoes, and you could tell he's ripped. But that's the only scene you get with Ant-Man being, because he's a comedian. Like, you're not supposed to get that from these type of guys. Just like that other guy, the Indian guy or the Arabian guy, the comedian who did the one that got super ribbed. My sister
Yeah,
knows.
I know what you're talking about.
But
Aziz Ansari.
no, he actually, I'm sure he's in shape because he's a skinny dude. But anyways, Yeah, back there with Ant-Man he very conservatively it got to show off his body, and that's like his only shot he ever got, I think. And you're like, damn, he's in shape. Like that was exciting.
I think Paul Rudd himself is just not human. Like he literally doesn't age. It's crazy.
I mean, his most recent movie on Netflix probably not recent anymore, but the Netflix movie where he's playing him and then the clone version of him. That's probably his best thing I've seen outside of I Love You, Man.
I don't know if I agree with that, but it was good.
What's your Paul Rudd best?
When he was in Friends. No. I'm joking.
What's your Paul Rudd best?
I have to say that's definitely in the top 3. That was a great show. But I when I think of Paul Rudd, I always think of Anchorman.
Hands down, Anchorman.
Even though
That's
he's not the star.
character.
Yeah, but his side character was so memorable.
I get that. But Anchorman because of number 2, I let that movie go.
If you're going
No. The sequels can't ruin the first one.
That was
Sequels
the
don't
worst.
count.
Look,
Because if that's
the
the case,
worst.
then the first 2 Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire don't exist.
All right. If you're going with the same
Worst.
argument you did earlier about who were we talking about a second ago?
Your boy Cliff Curtis.
No, I'm talking about Paul Rudd,
I know.
individual solo. He is the main.
You're talking about Orlando Bloom. How you have Lord of the Rings is a better movie, but his best movie is Lost Kingdom. Or
I mean, honestly,
It's the same thing
production
here.
quality wise, I'd put Last Kingdom still up there.
I know, but I'm saying it's not as good as Lord of the
Last
Rings.
Kingdom.
But Orlando.
Or my bad. Last Kingdom is the Vikings show on
sorry.
Netflix. It's about to come out. I'm excited for it. Anyways,
But same argument though. Like I think Lord of the Rings is still going to be the better movie, but for his personal best
Role Models
acting,
was pretty good.
yeah, I'd agree with you that movie you're talking
I
about.
would still put the that Netflix series probably one of his top.
So what I'm saying is the same argument can be said about Paul Rudd. I think the first Anchorman movie is probably going to be a better movie than any of his other ones, but his
I'm gonna disagree. Anchorman humor, a lot of it I didn't care for. It was fun, but it's not.
it's a classic, dude.
It's not one of my tops for like Will Ferrell and all that.
Looking at his
Like,
list,
the
I
other
would
guys, Will
say-
Ferrell, like the other guys, my opinion is better than
Yeah,
Anchorman.
okay.
I disagree with that, but that's a great movie. I have to agree. Looking at his like a list of films that he's in as the star of, I'd have to say the Netflix is
I
probably
think the
his best.
Netflix one's the best one because you get comedy, you get his serious.
Well, you get to see how good of
He's
an actor
literally
he is.
playing multiple roles. Like that's the
With-
best part about that
Yeah.
movie.
Speaking of shows where they play multiple roles, though, I didn't really get to finish it, so I don't know if it stayed quality because I just stopped having cable. But there was a BBC show called Orphan Black where this girl plays like her and like multiple clones of her because it's some sort of like government experiment. And the range that this girl had in that show, because she's literally playing like 20 different characters, all completely different. It was mind blowing. Like that girl needs to be in like everything. Look it up.
Never saw it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, what is it called? Orphan
It was
Black?
called. I never got to finish it, so I don't know if it stayed quality.
Is it on Netflix?
I don't know, but like the first 8 episodes that I watched, phenomenal.
I'm spread thin, so you got to keep it to.
And yet you try to make me watch all sorts of random stuff.
what I'm saying is, you got random Netflix, literally Netflix,
Random.
YouTube, and Disney is all I have.
Well, I know it was on BBC, so I don't think it's on Netflix
the
anymore.
only reason to have Disney is Star Wars. The only reason.
I refuse to give them my money, so never know.
Dude, I tried. There was one night I came home. We just had a really good night. Whatever we were doing, I was drunk when I got back to the house.
That's how most sad stories start.
I go to turn on the Blu-ray DVD of my Star Wars Blu-ray, HD Blu-ray, all those things. Put it in the DVD player, the Blu-ray player. It doesn't work. I try multiple times. I can't even get the DVD out. And I was
Freaking
like,
Carol
I was
Baskins.
just like in my drunk state, I was like, "You win, Disney. You win. All right, I'm giving in.
and yet I'm still here fighting the good fight.
I want to see Mandalorian. Here it is. And then when I turn it on, it's exactly what you want. The Mandalorian was a
Which is
callback.
hilarious because like they
It's the weirdest thing.
they actually understand Star Wars. Apparently, they just refuse to give people what they want.
Well, there's moments of that seeped into the last movie, but they were still just blinded over the
Like
fact of everything
other
else that
than
happened.
other than Ben Kenobi in the last movie, what was good about it?
C-3PO, bro.
You know the funniest part
That
about
was some funny drops that he just dropped. It's like uttering, like he very.
that's the whole Marvelization of Disney movies that I've really gotten annoyed with lately. Is like, oh,
Or
let's
you
do
mean
what
the
Marvel
Disney,
did.
the Disneyization of Marvel movies?
Maybe, but I'm talking about you didn't really see any of this witty like banter back and forth until you got through all the Marvel stuff, you know. And then you start saying, okay, that was successful over there with MCU being all the little quick little quips. So hey, let's try it in the last
The
Star Wars
Dark
movie,
Knight
see how it
trilogy
goes.
had plenty of quips.
Yeah, but it's not the
No,
same.
Okay, C-3PO. So the character, Wedding Crasher guy, what was his name? Vince Vaughn?
Vince Vaughn.
So C-3PO basically got to do Vince Vaughn lines throughout all of the most recent Star
Yeah, but
Wars.
that isn't
Very under the breath. Like I didn't catch it the first time around, and I caught it the second time around. They're very funny.
I'm just saying, like, to me, it really felt like they just were like, okay, the MCU movies are successful. Let's just go with that for this last one at
Felt
least.
to
and
me
just-
like, hey, we didn't have a plan for this Star Wars trilogy. Let's pull it out of our ass because I'm J.J. Abrams and I'm
let's
the
just
worst
make a bunch of
director of all
quips.
time.
I was gonna say something earlier. I forgot what it was.
I still haven't forgiven him for Lost.
All right.
I'm so glad I
8
checked
years.
out. I'm so glad I checked out of that. I watched the first season, I think, with my family. Then I went off to college, and I came back to watch that last episode with them. And I was like, oh.
The most to this day, I Game of Thrones is the only show that's ever come as close to pissing me off as much as the last episode of Lost did.
Don't spoil it. I'm watching it.
No,
You're not going to watch
PJ,
Lost.
don't watch
Please
it.
don't watch it.
I'm watching
Let me
it.
save you
Please
8
don't.
years of your life.
Just watch Lord of the Rings
I
again.
watch about one episode every 6 months.
Just watch Lord of the Rings.
Anyway, dang it, we gotta drink twice now, Wheelan.
Just watch Lord of the
Anyways,
Rings.
what I was gonna say about the Mandalorian, it's so funny because like you're right, they do know how to do Star Wars right. They just won't give it to us. But also, they were complaining about not making enough money on that stuff, right? But they also were like, oh yeah, this obviously good thing isn't gonna make any money because no one's gonna care because we don't believe in it because it's not our normal SJW stuff. We're not even gonna merchandise it, right? And so they missed this huge opportunity to make a ton of money on that Baby
Off of
Yoda
Yoda.
stuff, you know?
Yeah, and then they just started to be shitty about it and try to make sure that people couldn't use memes from it. Like they tried to stop
Right.
that.
I mean, it's just
Screw
it's
you,
so
Disney.
stupid. They
That's
could,
probably literally the only thing that got it bigger is those memes because people who haven't even seen the show were using the memes.
if they had just prepped properly, like any real business person would have known with testing and stuff like that, because they could have tested and known that Baby Yoda character would have tested well.
They did
They
that
would've-
on purpose, though. Like that was placed. Whoever created that character was placed there to be all cute and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
no, that's
but,
the point,
why
though,
would you
is
not?
what he-
Why
is
would you
why
not
didn't you
capitalize?
capitalize
on
I
on
that?
have
that
no.
marketing?
That's the weirdest part because this is.
I can
Disney.
tell you why.
This is Disney.
But I can
though.
tell you why.
100%.
I can tell you.
We're on the same
let me,
page.
let
Tell
me
'em,
explain
tell 'em.
why. So the person in charge of the TV Star Wars or the Disney Channel Star Wars or whatever Plus, and the person in charge of the films are different people, and they're competing against each other. And the one that's in
Like
charge
Call of Duty.
and the one that's in charge of the films is technically over the channel or the streaming service, and her films have all been utter failures, and so she doesn't want the person that's making the Disney Plus ones to succeed. That's the guy that started the MCU. He's
Yeah,
the guy
that's
that-
what I was going to say. Secondly,
Yeah.
they never believe in Jon Favreau. They didn't
Yeah.
believe him with Iron Man 1.
Sounds like your government.
They didn't believe
Yeah.
Different branches of the same.
They didn't believe in him with Iron Man 1. They didn't believe in him with when he did the Jungle Book, you know? They were like, we'll just give it to him
yeah,
because
and
he's
then,
been complaining
when
about
they
the MCU
finally
stuff.
did give him a chance, they micromanaged the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And that's how we got that terrible Lion King movie.
Yeah.
And basically, though, he had this idea for a Star Wars show, and they were like, "Yeah, whatever. You go ahead and do it. We need content for it." And they kind of left him alone, right? And basically, he got no support, got no help for it. He basically but that's why we got such a good creative show.
Exactly.
Are you ready to watch that? Have you seen it?
No, I've seen clips of it.
Yeah.
So just like I showed you Cobra Kai, I'm going to show you an
No,
episode.
I'm actually excited
Yeah.
to see it.
I'll show you an episode tonight.
I've seen enough of it, like clips wise, to know the quality of it that it's actually true to Star Wars.
I'll show you an episode.
And I also trust Jon Favreau.
Yeah, so here's how I
But
see
Kathleen Kennedy literally has
Right.
undermined him the whole way.
Here's how I see the Favreau
Fab.
process, right? So basically, here's what goes on, right? They give him Iron Man 1, you know, they don't think it's gonna do well, like whatever. This guy, you know, we'll give him a chance with this, you know, and it's probably gonna be nothing, which is what they thought, you know. So they give him Iron Man 1.
No,
If-
it was literally a huge gamble.
Yeah. It's they give Jon Favreau Iron Man 1, it blows up. They're like, oh, okay, so we'll do one more, right? And then it also does very well. And then they're like, oh, this is gonna be a thing. Well, we can't trust this dude with it. So let's take it from him, and you're not gonna be able to do this anymore. And he's like, oh, what the crap, you know? And they start building the whole MCU, and they're like, well, you can't direct these anymore, but we'll let you try this new thing. We're gonna try this little live action thing. We'll give you the Jungle Book or whatever, you know, just to satisfy him. So he's like, all right, whatever, I take it. And he does the Jungle Book. It blows up. And because he does so well on that, we have this huge resurgence of live action stuff.
Oh, the remakes, the travesty that
you
is the
said
live action
rebates.
remakes.
Those
Granted,
rebates where they
yeah.
try to get the refunds.
But anyways, so basically,
I want one for all the Disney movies I've seen the last 10 years.
So the same thing happens this time, right? He does the Jungle Book and he does extremely well, and it's really good. I love the Jungle Book one, right? And so they're like, oh, same thing with Iron Man 1 and 2. They're like, oh, this could be a thing. Well, we probably don't want you doing this either. We'll give you one more. We're gonna micromanage and make sure it goes the way we want it to go, And so they do it to him again. And so this time, I'm like, well, yeah, you can't do this, but okay, we'll let you do this little Star Wars thing to keep you happy. And what happens? It blows up again, and I guarantee you, sooner or later, they're gonna take that away from him too. If they really just knew better, they would let him do his own thing.
I would
'Cause he's
absolutely
amazing.
love a Mad Men version of Favreau's life, like
Right?
him going through the whole construct of Disney.
The dude is phenomenal. Okay, and what blows my mind even more is that the first thing I ever saw that guy on, Dylan, was The Replacements with Keanu Reeves going, "I got the football."
That's one of the that's an amazing movie.
The day that I found out that I got the
Quicksand.
football guy was the same
Quicksand.
guy as Jon Favreau.
So first
it
thing
blew
I ever
my
saw
mind.
him in is the greatest sports movie of all time,
Yeah,
Rudy.
right.
He's also in for me, the closest thing you're gonna get to that is a film he did, like his first directorial debut. It's called Swingers with Vince Vaughn when Vince Vaughn was skinny.
Right.
That's actually a really good movie, and I think I need to show you that one.
I've already seen it.
We've
Have you
seen
seen
it.
that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chef is probably my favorite Jon Favreau movie, though.
Yeah, that's the one he really loves. He has a whole series, kind of based off of that movie. He's just he does this thing where he goes and it's like a food channel thing. It's actually pretty cool. I think you'd like it. Like he did one with
He
all the
directed
Avengers
Elf.
cast. Yeah, I heard about that one too. So I just
Heard about it? You
I
haven't seen it?
love that movie.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
I read the
Christmas movie.
reviews.
Zoe is phenomenal in that, and she's blonde.
Boo.
I love her. Whatever, dude. She's amazing.
Boo.
I have
She's
to agree with
amazing.
PJ. on
I'm
this
so
one.
annoyed with people who are all like Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah,
this,
but I
Zoe
liked her
Deschanel
before
that.
everybody else
I was gonna
liked
say
her.
I've had a crush on her since the new guy.
No.
Since the new guy.
No.
I was like, who's this nerdy,
I'm so
goofy
tired
looking
of-
bass
I'm so
player
tired
girl?
of that
Actually,
hipstery
Almost
girl.
Famous. That was another good one she was in. She plays the older sister in that.
Yeah.
But no, she was definitely like one of those big
Failure
crushes
to
growing
Launch,
up.
Matthew McConaughey, the girl, Sarah Jessica. I don't really like her too much.
The horse?
Sarah Jessica Parker. yeah, that girl. Anyway, she's her friend in that, and she's so adorable. I love her. She's just awesome. I don't know. I'm a super fan of Zoe.
No,
I
I
don't care
think
what
we
people
saw who
say.
she
I
truly
roll.
is in 500 Days of Summer.
Dude,
That movie
roll.
broke my heart.
that's on my no watch list. I can only watch it once.
Yeah,
Sure.
my favorite scene in that movie though is the expectations versus reality side by side clip, where it's like
Right.
what he thinks is gonna happen.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Let's talk about Joseph.
Great
All right.
actor,
Let's talk about him.
Inception.
best fight scene of all time.
Yeah. it was
Okay,
so
now
cool.
Inception versus give me one of his main roles. The
500
bike movie
Days
was
Summers.
honestly good. I know like they got a lot of shit for that, but where he's
in
the
an
delivery boy.
He's an underrated movie called Brick. That's a high school film noir directed by your boy from Knives Out.
Yeah.
He played Robin in one of the Batman movies.
Dude, if
Did he though?
he did
Almost.
that honestly
Third Rock from
bugged
the Sun?
the crap out of me. When that's the third Batman, is we get that lead
did.
off of him getting to be Robin, and then we don't get it.
Right. That's because
That
there's never going to be another movie.
was one of the most annoying things. It's like,
I
oh.
liked that though, because it.
Anyway, sorry.
How about you just say it?
Well, it's because you were talking. I didn't want to be
What
loud.
do you need?
He knows what I need.
You want the room?
Rum.
All right, so
I can say that because I'm Mexican.
with rolling R's, we actually went to Chili's
10
yesterday.
Things I Hate About You was a great one.
Oh yeah.
Isn't
He
our
was
boy
also
that?
in what was it called? Don Juan. I didn't get to see it, but Don Juan with our girl from Avengers.
Oh, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it, but he's trying to score with Scarlett Johansson, I believe, and they has to like change his whole ways like a normal romance movie.
Yeah.
But
Angels in the Outfield.
No way.
wait.
him.
Is that him?
That's
Are
him.
you main
serious?
character?
Yeah, that's him,
Oh,
right?
that might be his best.
That's right before
Whoa.
Third Rock from the Sun.
That might be his best.
Wait. He is the little kid in Angels in the
Yeah,
Outfield.
he's the lead.
Wow.
That's his best. That's his best. Cheers to that. That's his best.
Man, I remember that. Hey, do you ever remember watching The Rookie? I think it's called The Rookie. Rookie of the Year, maybe? With that
Which
kid,
one?
he breaks.
Rookie of the Year.
He breaks his arm and he can play really well.
I broke my arm in baseball.
And his mom was like, just float it, and he gets the last strikeout by underhanding the ball.
All right, let's give a hand to sports movies. I know they're cheesy, but like,
No, but they can be done very well.
remember
like
what was that hockey movie where he's like, again,
Miracle, and it's one of the best
Yeah,
movies
yeah,
I've
yeah.
ever seen.
Hands down.
That's probably one of the best Disney movies, but it's because Kurt Russell's also one of the greatest actors.
they're just fun movies. The Big Green.
One of my favorite comedies growing up was Major League.
Oh yeah, classic.
Dude, Wild Thing.
Waterboy.
I'd say that's probably Charlie Sheen's best film.
There's not listen.
Yeah.
There's nothing more
Oh,
American.
Pretty close for sure.
There's nothing more American than these sports movies. But like, I was never good at any of these sports. I was average at all
Rocky
the sports.
4.
But the fact is like anytime I
Rocky
get these
beats
movies,
communism.
Rudy, any of them, like I'm about whoever it is that the
For sure.
story's about. It's the craziest thing. I feel like that's a very American
I
thing.
remember watching We Are Marshall. That's an amazing movie.
But we have golden movies. Any given Sunday, we have golden movies off of sports.
Yeah, for sure. It's a part of the American dream. It really is. Like football, baseball.
Well, it's also because we believe in winning in
Yeah.
this country. No ties.
No ties. Cobra Kai. Never
Well, that's
die.
the whole concept of Mad Men is the fact that he's a guy who literally stole someone else's identity, and he's going with the American
Gotten
dream.
that far then. Okay, cool.
Dude, I'm in season 4.
All right. Then we can talk spoilers later then.
Like
Yeah. Allison Brie.
the
what
fact that
up?
he's finally developing his concept and everything to do with the concept.
Dude,
of Don
how
Draper.
cool is John Hamm? That dude.
John Hamm is really cool.
That dude. I'm not
Which
gonna
one?
lie, Waylon.
He's the
the
main
John-
actor.
John
guy.
Hamm is like
Baby.
Like if
Baby Driver.
Yeah, but even like before that, like when you see John Hamm in no
He's got that
context,
classic 50s actor look.
In no
He's
context would you
timeless.
ever look at him and say, "Oh, that dude's a nerd." He oozes cool.
Baby Driver with the Punisher.
Even when he was on 30 Rock as like, this like cop, as this really dumb doctor, it was like that dude is so cool. Like
He's
his Baby
the cool
Doctor,
guy.
he's amazing in
I
movies.
honestly, I would love to have been a fly on the wall when they were
Right.
doing the tryouts for Mad Men to see who got picked. Like to see who are the characters that really got to come through on
So
this.
I
Because
don't-
isn't
I
that
don't
one of his
really-
main breakouts?
It was
He
his
wasn't-
breakout role.
He wasn't big before that.
No, it was his
Before
big,
Mad Men?
Yeah, Mad Men was his breakout. But
You know, I talked about this last podcast. How I kind of rate people and whether or not they'd be able to start a cult. Like that's
oh,
one
he
guy,
could definitely.
Yeah.
I would join his cult.
Yeah, and what's his why? It was so funny when so the girl who played Erin in The Office, the redhead,
Yeah.
so she came out with the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, right? Well, he plays the cult leader in that, and I was like, whoa, because I'd already thought about that, right? And then he was the guy who like lured him down to the hole she was in, and like convinced all the other girls that he was like God, basically. And I was like, yeah, if I met that guy in real life and he was like, hey PJ, blah 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 cult, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in.
And
John
he would
Hamm.
literally just say that, and PJ would join up. Blah 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 cult.
I really would. That guy's so cool.
But
I would enjoy a conversation.
Speaking of John Hamm, though, he's in a show that's based off of one of my favorite novels called Good Omens, and holy crap, is that a great show!
Good show?
It's one season, Amazon Prime. Please watch it. It's phenomenal. However, if I could cast John Hamm for anything, it'd be an aging Superman. He is Superman. to me.
That would be a very good, cool version. Yeah. PJ, you all right over there? You on battery drying? Okay. No, like honestly, that's I wasn't sure what I would think of the show at first because I'm not a huge fan of what's her name, the other main girl that becomes a part of it all.
The one from
The secretary.
The one from Handmaid's Tale or whatever. it's
She's
called.
great. Yeah, she is good. She's really good.
She's a great actress.
But like as far as his character development goes, like wow, it's the story arc between 1 to 5 or 4, season 4 is
Just
phenomenal.
wait for this final season.
The fact that there's 7 seasons had me more excited because I'm overthinking. Oh, it's a 5-season show.
When the season finale hit me pretty hard. Was how I put it.
The show honestly, like it got me to tears. The part, spoilers. Wait.
Christina Hendricks
Wait.
is really hot.
Okay, now that I said spoilers. Okay, so if you didn't cancel and fast forward, the part where it's the girl in California, the one that's the original Don Draper wife, when she gets cancer, dude, that got me into
It
tears.
hurts. It hurts.
That was the only person that actually knew him. That got me into tears so quickly. But oh man, or when like the brother hung himself.
I think one of my favorite moments is when it shows kind of, I don't know if I can't remember when it happened series wise, but when it basically shows him pre becoming Don Draper, and he gets the job at the place.
No, where he's all like, you told me to show up. You said I was hired, and he's completely lying.
Yeah.
Best part ever.
Awesome.
Best part ever. Like the concept of salesmanship within that movie.
Yeah.
Like every reflection of like my dad, me growing up as a young man,
toasted.
and my dad telling me how to be a man. Like it was so cool. Like because my dad grew up in that timeline. Like in that show, the age of his kids is what my dad was. My mom and my dad, was the age of those kids. So with the Kennedy assassination, with all those different things happening,
MK Ultra,
knowing what was going on in timeline, to know that that's what they were seeing when they were growing up, to compare that to today's society, it's like that's why they are the way they are, and that's why they say the things that they say towards me. Whether if I'm like with my like
yeah,
or
it was a really well researched show. Like,
amazingly researched
it's
show.
so good. Like you believe everything that happens on there. That honestly, it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. And
There's
glad
no
you finally
character
watched
breaks.
It.
Like, oh, y'all just brought in a new actor and it's a big person. Now, one cool noticeable ship in that show was the fact that the niece of the wife of Don Draper, the one that's in California, she's on the Arrow. And it made me so happy to see her because that was her first role before the Arrow.
That's the thing about the AMC. Like when AMC it's their first original series. Because I remember when they first came out with it. Because I was a big fan of that channel because they actually played like real movies on there. And they had this like mini series with the guy that played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, where he's like in some dystopian world, and it was like 3 episodes, and it was kind of weird. But then they announced they're starting this new show about a salesman in the 1950s, and I was like, huh, that sounds stupid. But I just happened to watch it because it came on after what I don't even remember what the movie I was watching it, but I was like, oh, premiere this new show. I like this channel. I'll give it a try, and I was hooked. Dude, episode 1, just the opening theme song with like the old school credit sequence. I was like, that's the jazz score. I was like, okay,
0070.
I'm watching it,
dude. The show gave birth to 2 huge actors. Now you have Sabrina on Netflix that's just killing it, and then you also had Henry from Once Upon a Time, who got to have 8 seasons. 8 seasons Once Upon a Time.
But not only that,
ABC
though, but
Family.
like it also launched the juggernaut that is the AMC channel. Because without that, we wouldn't have never gotten Breaking Bad. Well, Breaking Bad first. So Breaking Bad came out after they took a gamble on that show because they were like, okay, well, this was a hit. This is a new premise. Let's just go with it. That's why I love AMC. AMC is the channel, and even now they still
there's somewhere on there that's there's somewhere on there that's like I'm the balls guy and I'm gonna take a chance on this.
They take chances, and so they came out with this crazy show about a chemistry teacher with cancer who decides to sell meth, and it ends up being one of the greatest television shows ever made. And they're like, okay, all right, fuck it, we're gonna have a rated R level zombie show, and we're gonna premiere in black and white. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen at that point.
Very true.
And then their current show, Better Call Saul. Oh.
Dude, Better Call Saul is great. I still need to go season 2, season 3, season 4.
You really need to get caught up.
It's all on Netflix.
It's
I
just like Breaking Bad where it builds.
Yeah.
And once you get to a certain point in Better Call Saul and it starts connecting with Breaking Bad, you're going to start like getting like way too excited about it.
The biggest thing with Better Call Saul, and I think you understand this more now after meet my godfather, was that's why I relate to Better Call Saul more than relating to Breaking Bad, is because the whole lawyer thing.
I've always agreed. I agree.
I
with
get that.
You get it now.
Meeting him and talking to him, dude, he's so.
He's
so
that
I think for me though, it was the fact that like Walter White, the character, the first 2 or 3 seasons, he's pretty likable. Like, and you justify all the terrible things he does, and that's the whole point of the show. Is like he becomes a monster, and I love that. But he becomes a very unlikable person throughout the series. Whereas even at his worst, Jimmy McGill, aka Saul Goodman, is so charming and snake oily that like he could literally like screw you in front of you and you'd still like him because he's such a likable, charismatic character.
Well, that's Thomas Shelby.
Yeah.
the fact
it's
that
an
Cillian
awesome
Murphy
character.
has done that with him, amazing. Like, I honestly can't picture him in any other role. I know he did great 20 Days Later. I know he did great in Sunshine. Peaky Blinders wins.
Yeah, no, Inception's great. Red Eye's underrated, but I agree. Thomas Shelby is his best role.
Yeah.
and you can tell, like, I think for me, when you can tell an actor is like really enjoying playing a role,
Yeah.
you notice.
You know,
Because you lose yourself in that character. Like, I forget I'm watching Cillian Murphy play that character. That's Thomas Shelby. That's not Cillian Murphy. That's Thomas Shelby.
That's Thomas
And
Shelby.
that's why I love Gary Oldman.
When you can
Because
influence people
everything-
that much.
Yeah, everything I see Gary Oldman do, that's not Gary Oldman. That's like freaking Commissioner Gordon. You know, that's you know, anything he's played, he's not Gary Oldman. He is like Sid Vicious. Oh my God, Sid and Nancy. I watched it for before I had even seen the movie. I didn't even realize Gary Oldman was in a movie about him. I was looking up the song "My Way" that Sid Vicious performed, and no, not Sid Vicious. Was it Sid? Yeah, it's Sid. And it's Gary Oldman pretending to be Sid Vicious for the film, doing the performance. And I straight up thought it was the actual performance, like recorded, but no, it was Gary Oldman being freaking Gary Oldman. And I was like, oh my God, that's the moment that I was like, okay, this is the greatest actor of all time. That and my favorite movie or favorite scene that he's ever done, other than the Call of Duty Russian guy yelling Dimitri all the time, is the Leon the Professional, which is Natalie Portman's debut. It's about a French hitman that basically adopts Natalie Portman to help her get revenge, and Gary Oldman's this corrupt cop. And like, there's a scene at the climax where like he's trying to get all the other corrupt cops to kill Leon. And like, they're like, oh, you know, we don't. What do I need? What do we do? Because Leon's a badass and he's kicking them all out. And Gary Oldman's like, send them all in, or send everyone in. And he's like, what? Everyone! And it was so awesome.
You're going into uncharted territory. I don't know what you're talking about.
I will show you this
The,
film. It's one of my favorite
okay.
movies.
the movie moguls will get it, but there's something to be said about, like, I don't know, like, I get
I
that
worship at the Church of Gary Oldman.
I get that there's different like ways to do movies, but the ones that I'm always drawn to, and I think it's because it questions ethics, right? Is these moral ambiguous movies. You know, quit cutting out, please. It's these morally ambiguous movies that you just like, you don't really know if your main character is good or bad, you know, and it kind of poses that question to you, like, what is good or bad? Where's the line? Those kind of movies I love because you just get to like think about it. They're thought questions. It's philosophy. It's ethics, and you get to go through it. And if it's done very well, then I don't know. It's just like those kind of movies I'm drawn to, like the Joker. You know, I'm just drawn to that kind of stuff. It's just way better done. Yeah. Anyways,
Dude.
yeah, like I just like those are my jams. Like even like Peaky Blinders, like I don't know. I still don't know, and I'm like a couple episodes into season 2, and like I really want to root for Thomas, but he's a bad guy, Waylon. He is.
Yeah,
like,
but the thing is about that show, and what I like about it, because realistic, is almost everyone is essentially a bad guy if you look at it a
True.
certain way. Because like
Exactly.
the police chief is one of the worst one of the worst characters in the show, but
Well,
he's
the
essentially the
concept-
good guy. You
The
know?
concept is showing every version of PTSD.
yeah,
Like, that's the whole concept of most of the show is PTSD. Have you gotten to the Mafia yet?
wow, that's a lot.
I am at the point where he's trying to rob somebody. I think in like episode 2, season 3.
You're not at Mafia yet. Mafia,
I'm at-
I think,
I-
season 4.
I'm
So I won't talk anymore about that. I'm just saying when the Mafia thing happens, it's y'all's boy, the piano guy.
Predators.
Really,
Yeah.
And
Adrian Brody.
it's
He
his
talks
best.
like this.
It's literally one of his best, like the most perfect score that you
That's
could introduce
But
American
I
Mafia.
really want to.
That's
I
so
just
cool.
really prefer
if you
him.
had told me Adrian Brody was in this, I would
He's
have already
coming.
watched all these.
The fact that Tom Hardy's in it immediately, season 2.
Yeah, but I don't-
and then
I-
just
I
a
don't
little bit
care
later, you
so-
get that guy, Adrian Brody.
I don't care so much about Tom Hardy as I do Adrian Brody.
I care
love
about
Adrian
more
Brody.
about Tom Hardy than I do.
I'm sorry,
Adrian
dude, I
Brody.
love
Adrian
What
Brody's
is your
just
favorite
shit in
Adrian
comparison.
Brody film?
Honestly,
For me, it's the
I-
Darjeeling Limited.
Out of all Adrian Brody's stuff, which isn't that much, but still, I will. Oh, and maybe it's because I love World War II stories. But
The Pianist? That's
is
it's a masterpiece.
phenomenal.
I don't think I finished it yet, so I don't really know what the story is.
It's phenomenal.
Outside of him being a piano
Like,
player in
it's
Nazi time.
amazing. It's amazing. That guy is such a good actor, which is also why I find
That's what makes Predator so. But I also like how to get back on that story though. I love how his character is randomly named Royce. Like what a
Royce.
like my little brother's name's that, and it's a great name, but it's not a very mercenary name, and he's like kind of scrawny in that film, and so he's like, my name's Royce, and he does like this Batman voice like the whole time.
I mean, it kind of is kind of like Price.
You know,
it's like a soldier name.
Yeah, I don't know, but like it's very out of place in that film though, because like you're right, Royce can be a mercenary name, but like everyone else in the movie has like a really generic name, like like I think the prisoner guy's name is like basically prisoner, like. And then like you get like this like kind of like elegant name like Royce, like that's very, to me that's a very classy name.
Yeah.
And it's a very classy actor, so it's very obvious that he picked the name.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you got to give me like a really cool name, like.
And then the guy was like, I didn't sign up for this. He's like, woe is to me.
Yeah. And like I feel like he's like, well, okay, but you got to compensate for the fact like all this, and he's like, okay, fine, I'm gonna do the Christopher Nolan Batman voice the whole time. Whatever, I'll do what I want. Why are you trying to kill me?
I love the guy, and I also love him in the movie he's in with Jack Black in the King Kong movie. With him and Jack Black. He's great. I believe
it's called King Kong.
Okay, sorry. In King Kong.
He's actually in a movie with your boy that you don't like that plays the Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, called The Brothers Grimm. That's actually really good.
Yeah, no, I've seen it, and it's not that I don't like him. It's just that like I really enjoyed Edward Norton as an actor for the Hulk.
Okay, speaking of the Hulk, get rid of Edward Norton, get rid of Mark Ruffalo and Eric Bana, all the other people that have played him. Mm-hmm. If you could pick one actor right now, currently, to play the Hulk, who would it be?
Oh man, honestly, I think I would have to go with Tom Cruise because I just like Tom Cruise.
Edge of Tomorrow's best, Tom Cruise.
No bullshit. Last Samurai.
No.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Okay, look. Yeah, Last Samurai, and then Edge of Tomorrow.
No, Last Samurai's better,
dude.
Edge of Tomorrow is one of the best films
That's one of
I've
his
seen.
best films.
It's definitely among his best films. Just because you got a crush on a girl doesn't make a movie good.
No, she's amazing in that film.
But it was great, and we should have gotten a sequel by now, or at least a prequel. I would kill to see a prequel about her.
Me too.
Doing through it.
That's what we're getting.
And
actually.
no, we're not. No, we're not. No,
it was her, wasn't it?
Yeah, but she's in it. But we're getting a sequel afterwards. For some reason, when the money is in the Battle of Verdun, fuck Tom Cruise, get him out of there. I want to see her going through all that stuff with that guy that she talks about in the movie, the one she saw over and over and over and over and over again. That would be an amazing story. But we're not going to get that, and that's dumb. I mean, where are the suits at on that one?
Like, Story Right's at his best.
I would watch that. It's not that. I mean, I just look at I haven't seen a whole lot of movies with her in it, but she does phenomenal in that movie. She's one of the rare modern instances where a female lead badass is done well.
Like Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I actually really loved the Tomb Raider reboot.
She was phenomenal.
She was great.
Phenomenal.
And she's actually in another movie that I really enjoyed that people slept on. It was like a remake of a campy 60s TV show.
I mean, wasn't she in the most recent Mission Impossible or Born Identity?
Yeah, she was in Born Identity.
She was in Born Identity as the regular government person going after him. She was phenomenal in Tomb Raider.
She was in a movie called The Man for Uncle, which is a remake of a 60s campy show with your boy Superman and your boy Arlie Ermey.
Henry Cavill
it's the guy from the Kingsman, right?
No. He's from Call Me by Your Name, something Army or something like that.
You sure it's not the Kingsman guy?
No.
Okay.
And unless the Kingsman guy was like super jacked and tall, and like insane, like
no,
not to be weird, but like probably one of the handsomest actors I've ever seen.
That's not weird at all.
Like he's like honestly like
Chris
so
Hemsworth
like you think
one of my top favorite guys is Jared Leto.
So you think the guy that plays Superman is handsome? This guy makes him look ugly.
The Witchman, dude.
The
Witcher.
No, The Witcher was great. I loved it.
Wow.
It exceeded my expectations.
I'm more of a Chris Hemsworth kind of guy. That dude's like his
eyes are too close to each other.
Yeah, since you said that,
look.
The one thing I can find wrong, his eyes are too
Knowing
close.
how I look, I will not criticize Thor.
His
the
body,
literal god.
Yes,
offender.
phenomenal.
We're all straight adult,
his actual eyes. It was like I started noticing last night with his new movie.
Sponsor us.
this new movie. I'm like, his eyes are a little too close together. Y'all seeing that, right? And
That was actually a pretty good Netflix movie.
I will admit though, if that
Attraction.
movie had came out in theaters, it would have bombed.
It would have definitely bombed because it wasn't a movie that you go see in a theater.
Yeah, even in normal,
I probably would have gone.
Even in normal non-pandemic situations.
We never got to see. We never got to see our bridge movie.
Honest, you give me a soldier
21
movie.
Bridges?
Yeah.
Dude, it was badass, dude.
He watched it without me.
But like, imagine how that feels.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I rated it.
It's
making
even worse when y'all both watch movies without me.
Okay, so
like what?
We just talked about it earlier. I just don't remember.
Godzilla's amazing.
that actor, I forget his name, but even though I didn't
Chadwick Boseman.
That's what it is. I didn't particularly like Black Panther. We can get into that in a minute.
I didn't like that film. I liked
that actor's great.
In Civil War, he was
phenomenal in Civil War. Phenomenal in 42. Phenomenal in James Brown.
And so we were super hyped to go see Black Panther, and that's why we were so disappointed.
That's what I'm saying. Like I did not like Black Panther, but that actor is amazing. And again, just like you guys said, all these other movies that he's amazing in, I was like, yeah, man. And I saw him in Civil War, and I was like, yeah, this character is going to be amazing.
He was the best part of Civil War.
This character is going to be so cool. And then we got the trash that is Black Panther. And I was like, what? And it's funny when even Chad Boseman, or whatever, Boswick, even when that guy doesn't even want to be Black Panther. That's when you know.
There's a reason for that, and that's because the plans for the future are really like not good for his character. Basically, like they're trying to push it to where like the little annoying sister character is more the focus than the actual headline character.
Yeah.
And she's essentially going to replace him because she's better than everyone.
I'm going to be honest, though. Like, the concept, though, the Creed guy, he is a great actor, okay? Now, I think he's getting screwed over by Hollywood. He's being put into
Michael B.
typecasting.
Jordan?
Because I honestly, like,
Come on,
Creed,
dude.
I liked Creed.
Yeah, Creed was good, but
the new Creed movies.
He's terrible on everything else he's ever done.
But I think he's getting screwed over by them putting him into roles like this, where it's like, we want you as our agenda. We don't want you to be an actor.
Yeah, I could see that.
See, I don't like him because he was talking shit about how he's better than most boxers these days because he played one in a movie.
Who was it that he was calling out?
I can't remember, but he got knocked the fuck out later in practice for the movie because Stallone was like, nah.
Right, but no, he called out... who's the main guy? The redhead Mexican.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. He would have got murdered.
Didn't he call out him?
Canelo Alvarez?
I'm pretty sure he called out Canelo.
Canelo Alvarez would have knocked the soul out of him. The fact that these people are
coming to call out Canelo, out of all people, even our boy from UFC calling out Canelo.
Which one?
The Masvidal. Calling out Canelo.
I think Masvidal in a non-boxing, like, okay, so that's the problem. Is boxing,
the boxers are never going to go to UFC.
Yeah, and boxing and MMA are they're just two different
when you
things.
don't have to worry about legs at all.
Yeah, like honestly, like there's no the greatest UFC fighter of all time would get murdered.
It's not recording anymore.
Oh.
Is it?
Well, the greatest UFC fighter of all time would get killed in a boxing match against a boxer. However, the greatest boxer of all time, who is Sugar Ray Robinson. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Who? Give me your. Who's better?
I'm gonna be honest.
If you say Muhammad Ali, I'm a backhand you.
Was Sugar as good of a vocal person as Tyson? Because I think it has to be both in hand.
What?
We're
talking about a fighter.
I'm talking, but
we're not talking about your persona.
I'm talking about Tyson Fury though, as an all in all, like one who can be a talker and a boxer.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about boxing skill.
Actually, we're talking about Michael B. Jordan, how much trash he is. He's the trash man. He's a trash person. The only movie
I think he has credentials to be great.
I don't know enough about him to
say
that. I don't really like most of his movies.
I think he's been screwed over.
The only good movies he's been in is Creed.
I think he's getting screwed over. I think he could be a lot better.
Dude. He was in the horrible Fantastic Four reboot. He was terrible.
I didn't see it.
He was a horrible villain for Black Panther. Creed. Okay, that was good.
Somehow considered the greatest villain.
Considered
the
greatest villain, which has no sense.
Dude, when your entire fight scene is just some overly CGI two people fighting each other.
Don't get me started. I hated that.
The fact that they're both supposed to just be like kind of normal humans with slight abilities, and you straight up CGI'd it.
I liked Chronicle.
Oh, was he in that?
Yeah.
Okay, he wasn't that important. I know he was one of the main characters.
Chronicle is pretty good.
I don't know. I'm just saying, man. I like.
I think he has a lot of potential, and I think he's not getting the justice because
The Wire is one of the greatest television shows ever produced.
I think
Is he in that?
I think he's getting tossed into that world to try to be proving some sort of SJW agenda.
Yeah, right, all along with his co-star in Creed, who we all know is
a racist and a sexist.
Tessa Tomlinson, right? Whatever her name is.
I'm not gonna lie though, like we were talking about it yesterday, we watched that Extraction movie with Chris Hemsworth. I would take offense if I was Chris Hemsworth and she says she doesn't want to work with white people anymore. I would take immediate offense.
I know he's probably pretty liberal. I feel like he's a good guy though.
Most of them are, but honestly, Joe Rogan just gave complete praise to Chris Pratt for being a stand forward Christian man.
And Joe Rogan, who by contrary to the media is a pretty left leaning guy. You know,
he literally gave praise to Chris Pratt for being a legitimate Christian. And so with that, it bugs me that she just worked with Chris Hemsworth made her even more popular, like way Men in Black, Thor, and then whatever else she's on after that. Given
that Men in Black movie was terrible.
She's amazing as a support actor. She is, but
I agree.
He literally gave her 2 huge roles. Yeah. And she's like, I don't want to work with white people anymore. You had Chris Hemsworth as your actual main guy.
I want to bring up 2 points, okay? And we could talk about whatever after this. But let me just make these 2 points. Point 1 is this. When you talk about, you said Joe Rogan, praising Chris Pratt. He had this one recent podcast with this guy who's pretty atheist, a scientist,
Yeah.
I think we talked about this a little bit. Anyways, he was talking about religious people and how they act as for them, and he was a little condescending. But Joe came in. He was like, when you find one that really knows like what they believe and like they come from like a intellectual point of view, you have to respect it. And that's 100% how.
And that's exactly why Joe Rogan won me over. Completely.
Yeah, exactly. And point 2.
Completely. Not just like a little bit, like I kind of like what he says.
I'm just going to hipster brag for a second. I've been a fan of Joe Rogan since the 90s.
Good, man.
Back when UFC
and
started.
That's fine. I wasn't. I've been
trying to get you on this hype train for years.
I recently got into him. Now, the fact that he, yes, he's left-leaning.
Fear factor.
He could sit in a room with me, bring on people like Ted Nugent and things like that, people like that make you go, okay,
well, that's the
you
thing,
win.
this is how it used to be. We used to be able to have conversations with each other and disagree.
And that's exactly how a person needs to be. He is the equivalent of media. What media needs to be is Joe Rogan.
Well, for example, like you're pretty devout Catholic, right?
Exactly.
And I'm very much an agnostic. Like I don't believe, nor just necessarily disbelieve.
Agnostic, the lazy man's atheist. Sorry, I saw it on the community.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
For those of you that don't know what an agnostic is, basically we believe that there probably is a higher power, but we're not convinced either way. And for me personally, I think it's like, so a lot of people view, people that are religious as very arrogant, and the fact that they think that whatever their belief is 100% true. I'd argue that it's just as hilariously arrogant, if that's going to be your point of view, to say that you 100% know that there is no God. Like, that's just as ridiculous. So, for me, you just, like, if someone believes something and that gives them peace and that gives them, whatever it is that they need, cool, whatever. Just let it be.
Man, I really wish you guys could hear this guy talk on his podcast, because exactly what he said is exactly what he was saying. He was, like, talking about how, like, because he is very much, like, hey, there is no God. This is how the earth, this is how the universe works. And he was talking about, this is the scientist guy. Something Green. I can't remember what his name was, but
Tom Green.
And he was talking about going.
Legitimately the guy we were talking to because he's very popular.
Wait, not the comedian Tom Green?
MTV Tom Green.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is this the guy, the scientist guy?
It's the same guy, dude.
No, there's no way Tom Green is a scientist.
No,
he wasn't scientisty, but this is where the conversation came up.
Okay, but this is another. No, his last name is Green. I remember this.
Tom Green.
I know exactly.
The most recent one? One of the most recent ones?
No, I know who he's talking about. He's talking about he's a famous scientist, and he's kind of a dick.
But he was talking about going to this this gathering with all these people who ended up being like Christian, but also scientists. Like renowned scientists. And same thing, like he said, he came to the realization that whether it's like the extreme, like religious, like, only listen to this, and that's just as close-minded as the opposite side, where you have these scientists who believe solely in these things they can't really prove because they can't. They can just do the numbers.
Yeah.
And if you believing solely in that is just as close-minded as the religious people.
Yeah.
And it's like it's one of those things I talked for a while. I don't want to get too much into science and stuff like that and like all this stuff, but it's a long conversation we should start having.
I mean, in all reality, okay. So the whole concept, we'll push into that direction, okay. The concept of Jesus, okay. There was 30 or not 30 years there, but there was a good 20 years there where he just kind of, you didn't know his story, what was going on, what was he doing. Honestly, a lot of people believe he was traveling the world, getting to understand all what was going on in the
Brian
world.
Green was the guy you're thinking of.
Right.
Okay, so not, but the other one is Tom Green, right?
On Green is the comedian
That
that
is
was
the
on
comedian
recently.
that was on recently. Okay, cool.
I'm
I just
telling
wanted to
you,
make
Daddy,
sure.
would you
I'm
like
telling
some
you,
sausages?
Yes, okay.
Dylan, I'm telling you,
MTV
you would
guy.
appreciate this guy because he's
gonna watch
100%
it.
good thinking. I was doing,
Dude,
Ubering.
we listen to a ton of Joe Rogan. The fact that we
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
keep up with him currently, that's how much more he's working than us.
I'm not gonna lie. What I've been doing is like there's the Joe Rogan YouTube, and there's like a clip thing that does clips. So what I do is I scroll through and I look at because like they kind of do what we just started doing, like Dylan's idea, where we just kind of do clips and say what they're about, and I'll look through it and I'll go, okay, that's interesting.
And the
Instead
guy
of
that I
watching
call-
that, I go watch the full thing. I'm like, okay, a lot of these topics are things that I agree with or
Yeah.
I want to know about, so I'll go to the full thing and listen to it.
Lawrence Cross was the guy I was referring to as a dick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So anyways, this guy, dude, I'm not joking. Like I think this guy is the perfect understanding of between like your ideology and Waylon's ideology, which is
Well, there's
also
a reason why
mine.
we're really good friends.
This guy Brian Green, was that his name?
Yes.
If this guy Brian Green was in the room, he would literally be right in between you guys. I think more on your side.
Listen, most people's problem with the concept of Christianity is that whatever they happened to grow up around with or been around with over the past years, humans are what keeps screwing up the concept of what Christianity is supposed to be. Listen, I'm a Catholic. I get it. We have a bunch of problems wrong. Do I bring that up to people and even my parents? Like they'll mention stuff and be like, "Well, I mean, do you really think that? Look at our priests. Like we've had a lot of issues going on." I get that in our belief, that's us being attacked by the concept of the devil and things of that nature. But do you really? We can't argue with people who have complete disagreements with that.
For me, I just think, and this is going to be quite offensive to a lot of people. So fair warning.
Most people don't make it this far, Dylan.
Yeah.
So continue.
But your religious beliefs and stuff are irrelevant. Like get over it. Like it's okay. Hold on. Let me explain my point. Of all the problems we have in the world, your whatever you want to call, I'm trying not to be condescending and insulting because that's not really fair of me. But your sky god, your whatever it is so irrelevant outside of your own life to other people that it should have nothing to do with anything other than your personal growth, because that's the whole point, is a personal relationship, right? Is your growth with that religion. Now, if you want to talk to me about it and you want to be like, hey man, I you don't have to, but I'd really, encourage you to look into this, by all means. But when I have no problem, same thing with atheists. I have no problem with their beliefs until they start trying to impose those beliefs on other people.
Absolutely.
And as long as we can stay out of each other's business, which is shockingly harder than you would think for a lot of people, Carol Baskins, as long as you can do that, we can all get along. Like there's no reason. And you and I's friendship is proof of that.
Yeah, well, that's a yes and no, right? In the concept of trying to get someone's beliefs over. Now, in the sense of imposing and me being like, you need to believe in this, I'm never going to do that to you.
And you never have.
That's stupid.
But that's my point, though.
But you do see the concept.
Oh yeah.
Of what the idea is through me.
What I get, and that's actually the point I was going to make. Is I think Christians and whatever religion it would be would have a lot easier of a time getting people to like understand and actually believe their religion if they would behave like their religion asks them to. Like I think your the way you carry yourself says a whole lot more about who you are and your beliefs than your words.
Exactly. It's all about the walk, not the talk.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I was getting to.
That's
Yep.
one of the things that like my dad really focuses on too. Like
Dude,
like,
your dad's ridiculous.
he really is. Like, if you want to talk about a
Ridiculously
guy
good.
that has,
I've only met your dad once, and I already have so much tremendous respect for that man.
Just take PJ's hair off.
like I'm getting emotional just talking about it. Like 'cause,
Yeah.
no,
No.
like everybody
hold on
has
a second.
Cheers to the dads.
To all of our dads.
Like everybody has their problems, right? But like if you want to talk about a guy who just completely 180'd his life, that like storybook, hey, one day waking up, being hungover or whatever, and like just saying, hey, looking around, going, I need to change, and like, granted, whatever the reasoning is, and his was Christianity, like finding that stuff, like it's it's crazy, like. But he's so far to the extent where he 100% believes in, it's the walk, not the talk, like Waylon just said. But for him, like he says it another way. He says, "I don't want to be a stumbling stone." What is a verse, right? I don't want to be a stumbling stone. And I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago on Easter with him about this stuff. And he was like, because he was talking about drinking and stuff like that. He was like, I just don't do it anymore. I don't want somebody to see me drinking and going, wait a minute, you said that wasn't good. So like, and then like he doesn't ever, this is like his philosophy of life now. He doesn't ever want to be a reason for somebody to go a wrong direction in life.
And what you're coming up with that? I believe it's Isaiah. Okay. Now the concept of that talk is I don't want to be the person. That's the false teacher thing, right? You don't want that annoying teacher, Christian teacher, that's telling you all the
one that told me never to question anything ever.
Exactly. It honestly straight up says this. Straight up. This is in the Bible. Any you can argue with me right now. Yeah. It says, for those who do not know God or Jesus, the concept is you will be treated just as everyone else walking in. The most Christian person ever, legitimately Christian, you'll be treated just as that as a person of a non-believer. Okay?
Yeah.
The people who do believe and teach people wrongly are going to get that milestone around their neck dropped to the bottom of the ocean.
It's like, yeah, because according to religion, it's way worse. Like, if
you know and you're still teaching more wrong, then you're going to get worse punishment than the people who do not know at all.
But basically,
we're not going to get too far into that because I don't believe in this
stuff.
No,
I agree.
But what I'm saying is you are in the equal grounds of me in the concept of all of that to someone who's teaching people wrongly is what I'm saying, Dylan.
Yeah.
Wait, so I get a stone around my neck for not believing?
No. What I'm saying is
that's kind of the problem I always had with the religion. But
and I don't deserve any shit either, right? I don't deserve anything, right? But in the concept of Christian, like you above me,
depending on the branch, though,
you're going because of your kind heart that I've witnessed.
No, it depends on the branch of Christianity that I believe.
Your honestly, concept and your kind heart, you're going to go above me. In the kingdom of heaven.
Seriously, so basically, what he's saying is this, right? Like,
well, I get what he's saying, but my point is like certain denominations.
You're throwing
don't
people into
that.
it. Quit throwing people into it. What I'm telling you right now,
if you look straight up at the text, straight up,
which has been manipulated.
Stop talking about the text. You and your kind heart are going to go above me in the kingdom of heaven. So because the people who are teachers teaching wrongly. They'll have a milestone around their neck thrown to the bottom of the ocean.
I'm just essentially here's the whole ideology of it, right? So like, go back to my dad. Like what he believes is that like if he is any sense of like being a person who's gonna like mess your life up, it's gonna be worse for him. So he has to make sure he lives according to what he believes is right.
Yeah, and I get that, but so. Not to shit on that belief, but I don't find anything noble about that because, like, you're doing that out of fear.
Granted, I'll give you
say that, but the concept, I completely get that. The whole buying your way into heaven, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm only going to help this person out because it's going to buy my way into heaven. But that's one of the biggest arguments I have. But you're supposed to live in your questions, Dylan. You're supposed to live, not run.
That's why I'm bringing it up because, like for me, like I don't get because like a lot of people, will tell me that like. Basically, it comes down to they only are a good person because they're afraid to go to hell.
Well, they're buying their way. They're trying to buy their way into heaven, and I disagree with that. I told PJ this once, and it's the biggest thing. This is most resounding to me in my life. I feel guilty saying I'm blessed. That's the biggest resounding thing.
I mean, that sounds like the typical Catholic guilt.
I
though.
mean,
I can't say. Oh, I'm blessed.
I'm gonna get back to.
I'm blessed.
I'm gonna go
in
back to
comparison to the rest of the world.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go back to what you said. Okay, so yeah, no, I 100% agree. Sorry about that. I 100% agree with you, right? And but there's a difference, like when you meet somebody, like because that is the thing, right?
Mhm.
Like most people, you could say, oh, you're just worried about your own salvation, your own.
Well, it's also you feel responsibility for someone else's soul, and if you lead them astray,
yeah, but I'm gonna go even beyond that. Okay, so you're just worried about yourself, your own theoretical, eternity, whatever. But then there's some people who just completely adopt this ideology to where they seriously only when you find a really good person that only really cares about doing good, it's rare. And this is what I was gonna say like 20 minutes ago. That the reason why
Kingdom of Heaven.
But the reason why, like I and you might honestly disagree with this, but like I remember reading a text saying that there's going to be very few that actually do the appropriate things.
Isn't it like a specific number that they said? Like
no, there's no actual number.
That's not.
But here's the thing, Dylan. Like, and it's not a matter of like. This is the only part I will say. It may be a little selfish, but like to me personally, I will never go out of my way to say, "Hey, you need to accept Jesus Christ and change your life," because like you have to, at the end of the day, you have to do your own thing, right? And I have to do my own thing. And whether or not whether you believe this or I believe that, thank you. Whether you believe this or I believe that, it doesn't matter. It's just that in my heart and my own soul, right? In my heart and my own soul, I just 100% know I got to be the best person I can be and try to do as much good as I can, not for selfish reasons, because that's a moral obligation to be.
Well, that's who you are, and I respect that.
Well, going okay. So there's a Dave Matthews song.
But can I interject real quick?
Go ahead.
So and not to be, because it's not a gender thing, the concept of honor doesn't have to necessarily be for men, but traditionally, it's a thing amongst men. It's called honor, and for me, that's very important. Like your personal code. We definitely don't have the same code. There's things that you would do, and there's things that I would do that neither one of us would ever completely agree on.
You hear the Punisher, I'm the Daredevil. We've gone over
and
this.
I'm right, and it's fine.
It's like it's like the other day you're talking about how like, and again, I know this is more of a ethnical like thing, but like there's so many things I've done in my life that I've not wanted to do because my dad was like, hey, we gave our word we would do this, we said we would do it, and we're gonna do it, and we did it. I remember one time I gigged a whole wedding for free because I told him I would do it, and
see that's actually something that me and your dad will 100,000% agree on. If I tell you I'm gonna do something, the only way I would not be able to do something that I said I would do is if there is some insane circumstance that literally causes that to not happen. Like there's gonna have to be an act of God for me not to hold my word. I get that. My word is my bond. It is everything I have. It's the only thing I have.
Like at the end of the day, it comes down to two things. It's morality and ethics. You can say they're the same thing. But if you're inherently a good person or a bad person, a person that has a code to keep their word or a person that is not, and maybe I'm wrong, Waylon, honestly, maybe I'm wrong, but how many, I know I'm defending our religion here, but how many other religions put that first?
A lot of them.
Okay, and name them.
And it's pretty prevalent in Buddhism. Not to defend Islam necessarily, but they have a very specific code of honor when it comes to that. Like dishonesty is very frowned upon. But that's the thing is like, and I think that's why a lot of people get angry with Christianity is because no offense, it does have that kind of pious, hoity-toity, like we're holier than thou.
Specifically because of the construct of history behind it.
Of course.
The most pivotal part of human history was Christianity.
I grew up in the church. I know that there is more good Christians than there are bad. Of course. And just like there is more good almost anything than there are bad.
Like there's more good liberals than bad liberals.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
there's more like so for example, feminism. The actual feminists, I 100% agree with.
And when you meet those girls, they're amazing.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like
those are the ones you want to be like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, of course you should have equal rights. Duh. Why are we even arguing this? But then you have the people that
Peaky
take
Blinders.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, that's Thomas Shelby, straight up. He's like, hey, we're of equal opportunity here.
Yeah.
Do you ever? Sorry, that's
kind of the morality I have is kind of the Thomas Shelby, to be honest.
Right.
Do you ever meet a girl who's expecting pushback? Like, I don't know. It's
All the
like,
time.
It's
Have
like,
you ever been to Denton?
Yeah, I know. What I'm saying is, like, you meet a girl who's
They
like,
don't show up to our show,
he's
so
like
we don't really know.
a girl who's like
I travel in crazy circles.
We have to bring people from 2 or 3 hours away to
You
come to our shows.
you gotta remember, like I'm the type of dude that goes to the library to pick up chicks.
All I'm saying is, you ever meet a girl who's like a real normal feminist who's expecting pushback, and you're like, because they also listen to the media that, you know, men bad, you know, girl good.
Well,
Anyways,
that's
you
the
meet these
problem
girls.
I like how it always goes into caveman speak.
Anyways,
Bad,
it's true.
girl good.
Yeah.
In BC, you know?
Yeah, it was you meet a girl like this, right? Who's expecting this pushback, and then you're just like a normal dude who's like, what you're saying is right, and they're like, oh, and then they can't argue anymore, and they're like, oh,
Well, and that's the thing I've been saying for years.
yeah. He wants some whiskey.
The thing I've been saying, you just made fun of us for making cavemen speak, and you just
I just said when you
I'm not
drink
talking over
fire,
the microphone.
fire.
when you meet a girl who's a real keyword feminist, it's a breath of fresh air. It's amazing.
Look at the women I've always been attracted to. It's always the strong chick that doesn't need my help, but at the same time isn't gonna be pissed off
Not
when I offer
necessarily.
it. Not necessarily.
No, for him, it happens to be
Okay,
mostly
that's fair.
lesbian.
Okay, so to explain that comment, I typically fall in love with girls who are obviously gay and have no idea.
Oh, snap.
And Ellen Page is prime example.
Yeah.
But anyways, but the thing is, and we can end on this, is
I don't think so. I think we're going for a while, man.
whatever you want to do, man. But the thing is if we would just sit the fuck down, stop, being all closed minded, and just actually have a conversation with people we disagree with, you will find that almost 100% of the time, you have way more in common with that person than you do disagree with. And just because you disagree with someone, people, doesn't mean that they're your enemy. It doesn't mean that you can't, like I disagree with both of you on your religious beliefs.
And I get that.
But at the same time, though, I would never fault you for having that belief. But that's why I'm a libertarian, because
Yeah.
we believe in you having the right to be who you are without me having a say in that, and vice
100
versa.
Yeah, that's
And
why.
the problem with this world is there's so many fucking Carol Baskins in here trying to tell people how to live their lives when it has nothing to do with them. If we would just take care of ourselves and accept personal responsibility and just focus on us, we would all grow tremendously.
Okay, I'm going to talk about 3 quick things. Okay,
Carol Baskins.
And it 100% is a play off of what you just said. Okay, and I think this is where we
Just sit down and talk.
I know. I'm saying this is where we found the common ground. So a couple of things. And please let me get through it. So like I 100% understand what you're talking about all the way through, and I think you should be absolutely tolerant of what everybody else believes.
There's a difference between tolerance and acceptance.
Yeah, okay. But with and obviously there's exceptions like pedophilia and stuff like that. But with the exception that you should be able to understand like these beliefs and like that, but you also should understand your own heart and like what you want and what you believe in, and be secure and solid in that. Okay. Granted, you shouldn't ever like go through and like, hey, you need to be this, you need to be that, because, and there's a reason why I say that, because again, I go back to this thing with some other where like not everybody's like, according to our belief at least, like there's going to be very few that actually make it to whatever, blah, 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 and that's why I'm like, hey, like you believe what you want to believe, I'll believe what I want to believe. And, I'm taking that bet of what I want to believe. And not that I don't care about you, and I do love you and all that stuff, but it's ultimately not up to me. And every person has to make their own decision. Okay.
Yeah, that was exactly my point.
And 2, that's where we have some common ground, and like, but no matter how much I will let somebody else believe what they want to believe, it's like with my parents with like being gay and stuff like that. I personally don't believe they have any right to tell anybody what they want to do with their lives. Not that I agree with it, but I have no authority to tell you what to do with your life, And secondly, it's or thirdly, I think I'm on the third point now. Just crap. I'm done. You know what I'm saying, though.
Basically, what, and I don't want people to assume that I just mean accept everything just because,
Because that's a dangerous prep.
exactly. And but you also know me. I am very much not the roll over and just let people do what they want kind of person. Yeah. I firmly believe in the non-aggression principle, though, and by that I mean I'm not going to walk up to you. Unless I feel like I have to intervene, like if we're in a parking lot and I see you hitting a woman, I don't care what the situation is. I'm putting a stop to it.
Appropriately so.
But that being said, you're over here getting doing something stupid that's going to harm you. But if it's not going to harm anyone else over here, I'm just going to let you do something stupid. I don't care. Screw you. That's not my responsibility to come save you from your mistakes every time. Because at that point, I'm hurting myself by spending all of my energy on someone who, okay, for example, the kind of people that always are in trouble. And they always in trouble because they always make the same dumbass mistakes. And they always expect you to bail them out. And you constantly bail them out. And that's just, they know that you're going to constantly bail them out. So they just make the same goddamn mistakes. And yes, this is from a very personal experience. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure. And that person makes the same mistakes. And you just keep going back and you keep pulling them out of the fire. And guess what? You just keep getting yourself burnt to protect someone else from the fire they lit. And eventually you just have to learn that they're just going to keep starting that fire. And if you spend all your time trying to prevent that one person from catching fire, you're letting all these other people who actually want the change, who actually want the help, who actually are trying to save themselves, let them burn versus the person that's trying to light themselves on fire. That's stupid. And that's the difference between me and a lot of other people. I will not waste my time on someone who doesn't want help. If you don't want my help, I'm going to let you drown. If you want to be rescued, I will do everything in my power to help you. But I'm not going to sit here and waste my energy and my resources any longer on people that don't want help. If you truly believe that your path that you're on is the path you need to be on, I'm going to let you walk it. I'm going to let you. I will literally would not put piss on fire to put someone out who lit themselves on fire. I'm not doing it.
And who are we to say otherwise?
Yeah. If that's what they want, I'm going to let them do it.
Granted, I will be honest, to me at least, I will be thinking about them, damn, I hope they're doing okay. I'm sorry, that's just how I am.
My heart has unfortunately gone cold in the last 10 years.
I'm a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a very, I care about what other people feel,
You have empathy, and I have that most of the time. But my empathy goes away when I see people who take advantage of others. So for example, there's so many people out here that actually are very kind. And I'm going to go on a brief rant about something very personal to me. The Susan G. Komen Foundation is a joke. She is a con artist. And every dollar, every cent that goes to her pocket and not to help cancer patients. If you actually care about the person in your life that's struggling with cancer, which of course you do, obviously you do, don't donate to her. Donate to actual cancer research centers because she is just stealing your money and screwing that loved one over. Look, and that's the kind of people. And so there's three kinds of people in this world. You have the lambs, which is the most common. The sheep. They just exist. PC. Huh? Yeah, they just exist in life, and they don't really think about much other than the daily routine, and they're easily to take advantage of. Then you have, actually, there's 4 types, but we're gonna get into that. You have the wolves, the obvious ones. They're preying on the sheep. They prey on the weak. They manipulate them. They screw them over. This is your mafia. Whatever you want, your scumbags, your rapists, your pedophiles. Then you have the so-called shepherds, who I'd argue aren't exactly great people, but whatever. For this metaphor, we'll say they're the good people. They're the ones that try to guide the sheep to safety. Keep them away from the wolves. Then you have the biggest scumbags of all.
Wait, you said 3 people.
Yeah, and I said,
sheep, wolves, and shepherds.
And I quote, I'll add a fourth one, and we'll
Okay.
talk about that later.
Okay.
You can look at that in the edit.
That's fine. I love you, man. Go ahead.
The fourth person, and in my opinion, the worst people, worse than wolves, because at least a wolf will tell you it's a wolf.
All right.
It doesn't hide the fact that it's trying to eat you.
Right.
The worst piece of shit, the people that make my blood boil, the people that make me literally want to commit homicide on the spot and don't care about the consequences, are the wolves in shepherd's clothing. These false messiahs, these people that go out and they manipulate and they take advantage of people who are just trying to do the good thing. I won't name names, Bernie Sanders, but when you literally manipulate people and lie and say that you're going to provide them the promised land while simultaneously stabbing them in the back and everything you claim to believe in, yeah, you're the biggest piece of shit on earth. All these cult leaders, all these people that take, especially the ones that would take advantage of a
John
child.
Hamm. Go ahead. I'm joking.
Yeah. We apologize, John Hamm. That was a joke. You're an amazing actor. Please be in my movies in the future.
I have one more thought. Continue. We'll probably be done.
But when you, especially the people that would manipulate children, that's why I have a problem with that. That is actually my biggest problem with organized religion. To be fair, is the indoctrination of children.
And again, it comes down to the concept of humans, not
the
the actual religion. And
well, no. So because,
Continue, Dave.
because you
Continue,
said that,
Owen.
can I clarify? When I say my problem with religion, it is not the faith I have a problem with. Never on earth have I ever had a problem with a faith. It is the institution. And it's not just religion, it's institution in general. Anytime a thing or an idea becomes an institution, when it becomes like, oh, we have to do this because it's been around for a long time, it becomes inherently corrupt. And when something becomes corrupt, it needs to be purged, usually by the people in it. Unfortunately, not everyone has the power to do said purging that needs to be done.
That's fair.
So sometimes, because they're
That's
blinded
fair.
by it, they're blinded by their
Light.
faith in said thing, that they won't accept that there is possible flaws. We're human.
This is a very generalization of it, but yeah.
I'm not. Look, we're not just talking about religion. We're talking about everything, government,
That's fair.
especially science. It infuriates me how dogmatic science has become.
Okay, I'm just gonna say one thing, and I'm gonna be done for the whole night. Okay, and this goes back to a point you made a couple minutes ago. Okay, though my empathy may fade and succumb to what you would describe as what's the word? Okay, damn, I was not stupid. I'm start over. Though my empathy fades and succumbs to the realization that people are people and they're gonna do what they do, it never goes away. And
Well, of course not. I'm not expecting it to.
And the focus changes to I'm never gonna not worry about somebody, but I will always worry about them in a certain way that I think about them. Okay, the person that doesn't want to fix themselves, eventually they're gonna come to the point where I'm not gonna waste my time on them. Just like you said, I'm not gonna waste my time, but I'll never worry. I'll never stop worrying about if they are okay. But that level of worrying if they're okay won't trump my level of concern.